We are Amanda, and we are broadcasting live from Wellington, Kansas, on the footprint of the campus of Wellington High School, risen just to the west of Sellers Park, home of the Crusaders. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Grizzly Nation. Thank you for joining us on 106.7 KLKC Parsons, as well as KLKC Sports on YouTube. Jack Leake, John Kohler with you for the call on tonight's affair with the 1-2 home team, Wellington, the Crusaders, against our Grizzlies, 1-2 on the season as well. John will go ahead and dive right into tonight's Tank Connection pregame show as Labette County's history with Wellington, let's just say it's not pretty. There have been some exciting games back in that 2017-2018 region when the series began, as both these teams started putting each other on the schedule. The last couple ones have been fairly ugly. Labette County lost to Wellington at home 52-34 last year, and we've yet to beat the Crusaders. We're 0-5 in the series against them. John, you've been a part of maybe one or two of those. Walk us through what Wellington brings to the table.
Yeah. So what we've seen over the years is that they come out with – they do a great job of game planning. So you'll see them all year on film. They'll run spread or whatever. And then we found out a couple years ago, when they play us, they may come out in the 21 personnel, 2 running backs, tight end pro sets, and really run the power and counter at us. So you got to be ready as a defense. You can't take what you've seen on film. You're going to see them thinking, this is the only thing they're going to throw at us. Because, no, I mean, their coach, I believe it's Coach Meeks, he does a great job of game planning week to week. He's going to throw different stuff in there against this Grizzly defense.
As you're absolutely right, they're so well coached. That's Jeremiah Meeks, the head coach for the Crusaders, as he put together a squad last season that's not flashy by any stretch of means, but boy, did they get it done. They finished the season over 500. Hard to do, it feels like, in high school football. They finished the season 5-4, and as I mentioned, back in Altamont last year, put it on our Grizzlies by a pretty good margin of 52-34. John, I sat down with a few of Labette County's players, and they said, Jack, they run a pretty similar offense to us. They spread the ball out, and their quarterback is listed in the one of the top passing yard leaders on max preps. So they definitely run some of that spread compared to Pittsburgh last week. Run. Their quarterback only threw, I think, 8 passes. So, John, how do you flip the script and go from planning for Pittsburgh to Wellington?
Yeah, I think for the Grizzlies, you got to look at yourselves what you've struggled with these past couple weeks. Run defense, pass protection. And you really have to hammer those aspects in practice. And you should fully expect to get a heavy dose of the run game. As we look out here and the Crusaders are running through some of the plays, they just came out in that 21 personnel, which they have not ran all year so far, right? But when it's Grizzly week, when it's Labette County week, we're going to be able to run this all day on us. So if you're the Grizzly defense, which I know Argabright and the other guys, I know he's offense now, but defense, they're talking about that. They know they're going to come out in these pro sets and run the ball at him. So it's going to be up to the game plan and the players out there to decide, are we just going to let them run all over us, or are we going to put our foot in the ground and make some plays?
Absolutely. As it should be a lot of fun. And generally in the past, some of these Wellington-Labette County contests turn into subliminal shootouts.
Yeah.
They sneakily become these super high-scoring games. Unfortunately, Wellington scored 52 on us last year, but we scored 34. Some of those in garbage time, I get it. But, man, the over-under on these Wellington-Labette County games the past 5 years really kind of seemed to just go up high and on the ladder. And last season in the game at Labette County, Wellington, again, won 52-34 on the back of quarterback Kenny Redford. He went 10 for 16, threw for just 144 yards, but boy, was he efficient. 2 touchdowns on those passes. And the big story, John, is Wellington does not bring back running back Malachi Rogers. As Rogers had been somebody who has plagued Labette County, he's been that Achilles heel for our defense, and finally it feels like Labette County catches a break and the opposing team loses one of those studs that just kept putting it on us. So, John, quickly, before we send it back to the station for Coach Price's interview, walk us through, should that be exciting or should it concern us in terms of too high of optimism with Wellington losing their star running back?
No, I mean it should be a little bit concerning. It's a new aspect you got to face. You know, you
Yeah.
don't have to worry about just that one guy. Now you have all these other guys you got to worry about. Who's going to fill the shoes of Malachi Rogers? You know, as we go into this game, you don't know. But I know I was just looking out there. You know, I fully expect Dusty Bannister to be one of those guys.
Yes.
He's going to have to take on a bigger role in the run game. Tonight, as that we're expecting a heavy dose of that, as the Grizzlies have been very atrocious run defense lately. So he's one of those guys, and then I'm sure we're going to find a couple more names out there tonight.
As we will definitely talk more about Dusty Bannister, a Crusader that should be a star tonight. We'll see if Labette County can stop him. We'll talk about them and our opponent preview later on in the Tank Connection pregame show. Here in a moment, we'll send it for a Coach Price interview with Chet Copeland, Sports and Kansas Director. We also have John and I's take on last week's loss at home to Pittsburgh. Then we have an interview with Labette County's center, Lane Simmons. I sure thought that went great. Very well-spoken young man, so stay tuned for that. But for now, we're going to send it back to the station for the head coach interview with Sean Price. Labette County's 500 record was put on the line last Friday night at Lucas Field, back home in Altamont, Kansas. And boy, did they take one on the chin to those stingy Purple Dragons, John, as we welcome Grizzly Nation back to our Tank Connection pregame show here on 106.7 KLKC. Labette County fell 45-6, as it seems like we've said a score similar to that too many times against Pittsburgh over the last however many years, John. But Labette County was kind of bullied on the ground. Walk us through what it looked like last Friday.
Yeah, it was just hole after hole after hole, with that triple option they were running, whether it was gashing us on the inside or tossing it to the outside. They averaged 8.5 yards a carry last week, Jack, and as a defense, I mean, that's up there. I mean, you can't be having it. You'd like to see that number come down significantly to maybe, I think it'd be okay for this defense to give it 4 or 5 yards a carry, which is still bad, but I mean, it's not 8.5 yards bad, but you do that, you gave yourself a better chance at winning the game.
Absolutely. Is Wellington a team that generally in the past had liked with Rogers to run that football similar to Pittsburgh? But tonight it might be a bit of a different story, as we'll get into Wellington later, but you're going to face a completely different team if you're just joining us. That's something we touched on in the opening segment of the pregame show. Wellington kind of runs a similar offense to Labette. Their quarterback kind of compares to Kendall in a sense, in my opinion, so that could be fun. But we're here to talk about the Pittsburgh game for this part of the pregame show. Kendall Holtzman threw 21 passes, John, just completed 7 of them. So it was just a tough. Some of those Pittsburgh games are hard to talk about because it's not really fair, not the matchup, but just talking about it. Because it was just an ugly night where things didn't really fall in place. Jamal Jackson did carry just 14 times on the ground, ran for 72 yards. He's played great. Talk about Jamal in last week.
Yeah, you've just seen the explosiveness of Jamal these past couple weeks. I mean, last week he was terrific, and I think he was one of the only bright spots we saw out of the Grizzlies last week, as everyone's just seemed to be off. I don't know what happened, but Jamal was ready to play. He came out, and he was exciting from the first snap of the ball game. I think as the season continues to go, you'll see that vision.
Sure.
Things he looks for. He's going to improve on that. We're going to see some more explosive runs out of Jamal.
As I'm going to make this the night, John, where we stop referencing the circle game. Labette showed what they can do. I'm not saying that's not possible, but we could reference that game all season if we wanted to. Tonight, let's move on from circle and show that we can do that again, at least to some extent, so Wellington can become the talking point next week when we're doing the pregame show. That sound good?
Yeah, and this is a great opportunity to do that. As we do have Nolan Nash coming back this week. He was just cleared yesterday, I believe, if I heard correctly.
Yeah, he'll be limited in snaps perhaps a little bit tonight, but he was cleared today by the doctors.
Either way, that's another weapon to a unit that really seemed to struggle, after the circle game. They showed what they can do, but they just have not seemed to be able to put it together these past couple weeks. Whether or not it has something to do with the protection or just miscommunication or something, but it's just not been there. And you'd like to see that, get kind of cleaned up and patched up, this week.
As we've missed some of those big plays to Xavier Phillips and, of course, Nolan and some of those guys. But, Labette County really limited on the ground. Well, Jamal played fairly well, but in the air it was just tough. Kendall didn't have a night, so Labette certainly looking to put that game against Pittsburgh behind them. At this moment in time in the Tank Connection pregame show on YouTube as well as on 106.7 radio, we would like to send it to a player interview with the center of Labette County's offensive line, Lane Simmons. As part of tonight's Tank Connection pregame show, we are glad to welcome to the other microphone offensive lineman for Labette County High School, Lane Simmons. Lane, thank you for joining me.
You're welcome.
As Lane, it is just a very young season, 3 games in, but boy, has that roller coaster effect been in place with just the various outcomes in each of the 3 games. But walk through what you've seen, the team's development, personal development. What have you seen from the 1 and 2 Grizzlies this year?
I think that for the most part, we're playing more as a team as the season goes on. Even if the game ends as bad as it did against Pittsburgh, like stuff happens,
Sure.
Things happen during that game. No one We were all on off. That was an off night. Big win against Circle. It really showed us what we are really about and what we can do.
Yeah.
And it gets a top-ranked team. And then Parsons game, stuff happened and we fell short. But I feel like as the season goes on, we're just getting better and better week in, week out.
Absolutely. As I do want to ask a little bit, I think it helps kind of paint the picture because practice in football in any sport is a big, big deal. But, with football, you play one game a week. So you have 3 or 4 days to prep for that opponent, fix what went wrong. So how was this week of practice looked like there at the high school?
Yeah, it's looked pretty good. Monday is a film day, so we sit down and watch film for an hour and a half. And then Tuesday and Wednesdays is our big day to install everything. And then Wednesday is our cleanup day. And then Thursdays are our walkthroughs day, just make sure we got everything down and make sure we're prepared for Fridays.
As Lane, I've interviewed Kendall and Jamal, quarterback and running back, and when I ask them how do they attribute their success, both of them have said, in some form or fashion, the offensive line. Talk about that. What makes this year feel a little bit different?
This year for our O-line, I feel like our team chemistry, like us five up front, our bond is just inseparable. I mean, we're always hanging out together. We always go out to eat together if we ever get the chance to catch up on things. And when we're on the same page, it's so smooth. That front five is so smooth if we're all on the same page.
Absolutely is. As I do want to talk a little bit about the mechanics of an offensive line, because you brought a couple buddies with you from the football team here to do the interview as they're kind of in the background listening. And you guys were talking about pulling and different terminologies in terms of an offensive line, and I had no idea what you were talking about. So if you could help this dumb guy out a little bit and explain, there's a lot more to an offensive line than meets the eye.
So one of our run plays we run, we pull a guard, which basically means Lucas or Chris would step behind me when I snap the ball, and they basically is Jamal's blocker. Jamal will follow him.
Okay.
That's a pull. And then you just have your regular pass set and then your normal down blocks on a normal run play. But a pull is just taking a guard and running him upfield on the opposite side, and Jamal just follows him.
And that's certainly – thank you for explaining that. And I know Jamal's definitely reaped the benefits. He's a great back and finds holes. He's certainly, however, reaped some of the benefits of you guys being such a good O-line this season. And, Lane, you're the center. Your hand's on the ball to begin every play. You're flipping it to Kendall. Talk about some of the pressure that might come with that. I'm sure it's second nature, snapping the ball. But on the road, at Wellington, they always have a good crowd. Have you ever experienced it hard to hear Kendall, any miscommunication? Because you're it. I mean, you're snapping the ball. And also after that, if you could talk a little about how a center's role differs from the guards and tackles roles.
Definitely. Actually, what was it? Parsons game.
Yeah.
We had a lot. I want to say a lot, but there were some plays where we played in motion, and I just couldn't hear Kendall clap. It was so loud.
Yeah.
So we had to figure something else out to do. And then a center's role compared to guards, like center, I run that offensive line. I got to get everybody in check because I got to know my role and everybody else's. So I feel like I just have to be that big role player and make sure everybody knows what they're doing so we're all on the same page and can make a force on that O-line.
Lane, last week I interviewed Jamal and asked him who he modeled his game after or who he looked up to at the higher levels of football. Do you have a center or an offensive lineman that you kind of look up to at the higher level?
Yeah, ever since they moved me to center junior year, and I was terrible at it. I had no idea what I was doing, so I always try to find somebody that I could roll off of. I think Jason Kelsey from the Eagles was probably one person I always watch. I still watch him to this day, so I probably put him.
He's a good guy, and Amazon's coming out with that Kelsey documentary I'm sure you're aware of.
Yep.
And Lane, is there anything that you want to say to Grizzly Nation ahead of the game at Wellington?
Just be safe if you drive up there, and if you do, come support, and that's about it.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Lane. Best of luck against Wellington.
Thank you.
This has been our player interview segment of the Tank Connection pregame show, and we have much more coming up right after this. Welcome back, Grizzly fans, to our Tank Connection pregame show as the atmosphere is certainly filling in here in Sellers Park. Historical little venue here with a good, strong south wind gusting through the facilities here. Few Grizzly fans sprinkled in on the metal bleachers across from us as we're going to get into our opponent preview section of tonight's pregame segments. Wellington, the Crusaders, come into this contest, John, at a record similar to that of our Grizzlies, 1-2. As Wellington has taken some on the chin just like our Grizzlies. Don't let that fool you. Wellington in week 1. In fact, John, this is their first home game of the season. They traveled to Andale week 1 and lost 75-28. Then they traveled to Clearwater and won 21-14. And then they traveled to Wichita Collegiate, 56-20. They fell to Collegiate. So now they can kind of take a breath, get some of that jet lag or bus lag, if you will, out of their system, settle down and play a game at home. John, you played football for 4 years. How nice does that feel?
It's definitely, it gets some more energy back in your sails. Those road games week after week, they get kind of tiring on you because, you don't feel that support. So a lot of times people don't travel as well, Parents may not be able to make it or whatnot. So it's always nice to play at home in front of your crowd and stuff. Pre-game routine is a little bit different. May get to go home, take a little nap real quick, then get back to the stadium or whatever. So that's always nice. There's just something different about it, playing at home, Friday night lights.
Sure.
It's just a whole different atmosphere, I feel like.
It absolutely is. And sometimes, you almost get in a routine. I remember talking about that during some basketball pregame shows last winter for our Grizzlies. They were on the road so much you wondered, they finally play at home, if that nap might interfere, if that pregame routine might interfere. For better or for worse, you determine that. We'll find out on the field here this evening. Wellington's quarterback and running back is going to be different from what we've seen in the past. Again, Malachi Rogers, that star at running back for them who just ran all over Labette County's defense in previous seasons, has graduated, and now they bring in a great running back as well. They just keep reloading. Nick Giefer, he is a junior. He's carried the ball 57 times through all 3 games for 260 yards, averaging just under 90 yards a game. So Labette County still has their hands full with the Crusader on the ground.
Yeah, and that's going to be the challenge. We haven't really been torn up in the past game. We haven't really faced an opponent who's really shown the threat of being able to. I think this week we're going to have to step it on both sides.
Yes.
We always talk about that rushing defense, how bad it is. That needs to come first, though.
Correct.
Stopping the run, make them throw it. And then if they're going to beat you throwing it, all right, we'll respect it. Maybe scoot back a little bit more. Try to play both. I mean, that's how it – it's very difficult when you play offense like this, when they're throwing the ball so well and running the ball so well. It's kind of hard to game plan against, but you have to do it. I mean, you got to pick your poison in this case.
As you can hear the Crusader faithful arise to their feet and the student body stomping upon the bleachers as Wellington runs out onto the field. They were wearing red uniforms during warm-ups, all reds, and now they come out in some really slick-looking dark gray tops and bottoms with red numbers, a little bit of white trim sprinkled, and shiny red helmets. Look similar to Alabama's helmets for a comparison there at the collegiate level. Under center or in the shotgun, both, as in the quarterback for Wellington this evening, is going to be a junior. He wears number 12, similar to that of the GOAT, Tom Brady. Dusty Bannister stands at 6 foot tall, 190 pounds, weighs in the junior. Throws the ball a lot. John throws the ball a lot. Has thrown 4 picks on the season. Not bad through 3 games, especially on the road against some really stout opponents. He'll let it fly. 211 yards a game. Talk to us a little bit about a quarterback that we will see again next year if we should play Wellington next season. But, yeah, Bannister's going to be tough to defend in the air. You said that this is a tough offense to get after.
Yeah, and they got length on the outside, as their leading receiver on the year. Carter Burnett stands at 6'5", 205. And we've seen, Malachi Vaughn or whatever last year. They've been blessed with some truly, athletic and lengthy guys on the outside, and that's tough to guard against, We saw it with our own guys, Xavier Phillips, Nolan Nash, these bigger guys on the outside. It's hard to guard. And so I think we're going to I think they face each other in practice all week. Nolan Nash, Nolan Arati, Lawrence Holt, Xavier Phillips. So I feel like our secondary should be okay against it, but it poses a threat for other teams for sure.
Absolutely. 2 minutes until kick. John, if you want to jot down Labette County's captains, we have Wellington's prematurely. We will step aside for a 30-second break, and when we come back, color analyst John Kohler will bring you kickoff weather, the captains, and then we'll go right into kickoff. 30-second break. This is Grizzly football.
Everybody is different. Some get injured, while others simply wear down. Whether it's on the court, on the field, or at the gym, Labette Health's orthopedic and sports medicine team has the training and skill to repair, restore, and renew. We share the same goal, and together we'll write your comeback story. For more information about Southeast Kansas' leading orthopedic and sports medicine team, go to LavetteHealth.com.
Welcome back, Grizzly Nation, as I'm going to kick it right over to John for tonight's weather, captains, and then we'll go into kickoff.
Yeah, tonight at Sellers Field, we got a beautiful evening for some football as it is 84 degrees, a little bit windy. We got a 15-mile-an-hour southeasterly wind. And unlike back home, there was no rain here, so the field's dry for those folks wondering how the field conditions were going to be coming in tonight. 63% humidity, so overall, not a bad night to play some football. No, captains for the Grizzlies tonight, number 12, Kendall Holtzman, number 24, Jamal Jackson, number 75, Lane Simmons, and number 76, Chris Stevens. For your Crusaders, or the Crusaders, I should say, my fault. Number 5, Brody Weir, the 6'4", 240-pound junior. Number 12, Dusty Bannister, 6 foot, 190 pounds. Number 23, Grady Norris.
As he will be out tonight, I do believe.
Yes, that's what we've heard from the other.
Second leading receiver.
Yep. Number 55, Andrew Hopingstein, if I said that right. Number 63, Derek Lowe.
As that is a name that I forgot to mention. I had it written down in our opponent preview. Their second leading receiver on the season, Grady Norris, is sidelined for the season, unfortunately, as we see him with the strap over his right collarbone down here on the sideline. So a Wellington offense that's already quite lethal loses a tool in their arsenal. So we are about to be underway. Someone is going to leave this field, Sellers Park, at 500. It might be Wellington. It might be Labette County. We'll find out as the kickoff is about to take place. Labette County in their road whites with red helmets and a gold split face on either side of that helmet. White tops and bottoms with some red numbers and red and gold trim. Wellington, in case you missed it moments ago, they're in pretty nice looking uniforms, really. Dark gray tops and bottoms, red stripes down the sides, and kind of Alabama Crimson Tide helmets with a silver stripe like a mohawk up and down the middle of the helmet. Wellington will receive to open tonight's contest. Lights are on in Sellers Park. Fans are prepared. 12 minutes put on the scoreboard on the north end. That south breeze still whipping through, as John mentioned. And kicking for Labette County's Manny Ramirez plants it at the 40, takes his steps, and it's a little squib up the middle, picked up and fumbled at the 38, and Wellington forced to fall on it as it bounced off of the chest plate of the Crusader, Parker Thornton. It'll be 1st and 10 for Bannister and company right there at their own 38.
Yeah, and that's not a good sign for Nolan Nash's health. We saw him with the boot or whatever last week. And he's normally our kickoff guy, so if we're seeing Manny out there, probably shouldn't expect too much of Nolan tonight. As the Crusaders are going to start out in their spread formation, 2 receivers on each side, running back to his left.
As it is Giefer at the back to the left of Bannister. Here's the snap. It's a pass out to the left flats, caught by Branham. He'll get the first down and a lot more into Grizzly territory near the 35, and he's brought down at the 36 of the Grizzlies. Big first play for an opponent that it feels like Labette County gets out to slow defensive starts sometimes.
Yeah, the cornerback there, Nolan Arati, really has to try his best to get off that block. As you could see, number 8, Carter Burnett out there, 6'5", 205-pound frame, was just blocking him pretty good, I should say.
Same set, except Giefer's on the opposite side of Bannister. A flip to the far side, similar play, caught, and near the first down line yet again is the intended target for Wellington. That's going to be Axel Norris, 6-foot-tall junior, wearing dark gray for the home team. And they're going to give it to him. 1st and 10, Wellington. 2 plays, about 45 yards or so for Wellington. 11-15, first quarter.
Yep, as they're really hurrying it up here, as they're already about to snap a jack.
And they get it off. Bannister call it. Touchdown, Wellington. That's caught on the near side by Carter Burnett, a 6'5 receiver defended by Nolan Arity. Tough matchup there for Nolan, but then again, it kind of looked like it.
As the difference in the weight and size there, maybe the refs thought maybe he's selling it or whatever, because there is such a height difference out there, but I think that one is pretty obvious, from up here. I don't know if the ref saw something different, probably did, or just didn't feel like calling it, one of the two. So it should have been an offensive pass interference there.
Skylar Branham, the holder, and the kicker for Wellington boots it through. Try to get identification on the kicker. I can't tell. The numbers kind of blend into the dark gray jerseys. It looked like Milo Elder on the kick for Wellington. 7-0, Wellington scored right away on their home turf for the first time this season, their first home game of the year. We'll be back in 1 minute. This is Grizzly Football.
My name is Bria, and I'm a pharmacist at Bowen Pharmacy. I'm here today to tell you about one of our patient programs, Meds to Beds. Bowen Pharmacy South is located in the medical office building at Labette Health. Our staff works closely with the doctors, nurses, and social care workers to ensure that your transition out of the hospital is an easier and more convenient experience for you and your loved ones. If you are having inpatient or outpatient surgery, we will get your medications directly from your doctor and deliver them right to your hospital bed. If you are having a baby, we will get your medications or anything else that you may need to get your family home without the hassle of making several stops along the way. Whether you're here for a few hours or a few days, we are here at Bowen Pharmacy and Bowen Pharmacy South to help get you well without any interruption in transition of care. Just ask for Meds to Beds. At Bowen Pharmacy and Bowen Pharmacy South, we are here for you today and we are here for you tomorrow.
Labette County's going to get good field position off of a short, stubby kick from Wellington. Near midfield is where Labette County's offense will take over for possession number 1 of the ball game. To be exact, they spot the ball at the 47 of their own. Labette County moving left to right, end to a stout south wind.
Yep, as we're going to come out in a similar formation as Crusader said, the two sets of twin receivers on both sides.
Jamal the back, he's been exceptional this year. Nolan Nash not on the field. Right now split out to the right is Lawrence Holt and Barrett Heston near the Wellington sideline. On the far side closest to the grid is Kagan Bates and Xavier Phillips. That's going to be a false start on Labette County. Michael Reed got a little bit of an early jump there, as Labette County took a while getting that play in, as it'll be 1st and 15 here for Labette.
Yeah, as you came in wondering if we're going to shake off some of the mistakes that we've seen these past couple weeks. Not a great start by that Grizzlies offensive line. So they're already knocked for a false start. Or illegal procedure, that's what it is.
Right. I need to get used to that. Illegal procedure. All 5 offensive linemen starting tonight as usual, as JB had been banged up. I believe that's JB out there.
Yep, playing right tackle.
Yep, as there will be a shallow safety coming up to blitz. Here's the snap. Jackson gets it on a toss. A nice little run for Jamal. Back to the original line of scrimmage, and it'll be 1st and 10 for Labette.
Second now, Jack.
Yeah, thank you.
There's a little opening there, but it was closed quickly as Jamal seemed to squeeze through and scramble through for a good gain of 4.
Second down and 10. Thank you, John. For Labette County, Jackson right behind Kendall. Bit of a high snap. He catches it, hands it off to Jamal. Swallowed up in the backfield. Loss of about 3 on the play. 3rd and 13 for the Grizzlies approaching.
There's always stuff you can do better on the offensive line. I don't think you could have there. I think they blitzed 2 guys there, as I counted, around the ball carriers. 6 gray jerseys, so definitely a tough situation there.
Hard to block more people than you have.
Yeah.
For sure, as there is an extra down lineman on the far side for Labette County. As, again, a little bit of a lengthy play decision here, as there's 10 seconds left on the play clock. As Kendall snaps, gets it off. Bit of a high snap again. He's going to let it fly deep down the left side. Back shoulder throw. Caught Lawrence Holt. Did he stay in? And they say he's out. Pardon me, I couldn't get to my microphone adjuster fast enough. I missed it with my fingers. As that was a beautiful back shoulder throw by Kendall Holtzman.
Yeah, he put it right where Lawrence could make the play and the defender couldn't, as that was a beautiful ball. And you wonder if this is something they hammered, this past week, shaking some rust off Kendall, as he looked kind of not himself these past couple weeks, so that's a good sign.
Similar set for Labette. Ball is on the left hash. Near the red zone are the Grizzlies. Ball spotted at the Wellington 28. 9:40 first quarter. Wellington scored on their first few plays of the ball game. They lead 7-0. Kendall.
I can't believe that he had a touchdown in his hands, Jack, as he's had a couple drops this year, but he's been really good down there too, so just unfortunate for the Grizzlies.
Soft coverage again on the near side, except that's Barrett taking the wideout position stretched out to the right as the ball is still on that left hash, of course. Xavier flips to the far side as he's still going to be paired up with that same corner for Wellington. 12 seconds on the play clock. Here's the snap. It's a run. Jamal up the middle. He had a decent gap and then was snatched from the left side out of nowhere by the Crusader defensive lineman, Colton Clift.
Just can't quite see that good from where I'm at, but I believe the Crusaders are in a 3-3-5, 3 down linemen, 3 backers or whatever. As my fault, folks. It's actually just the 3. I don't even know what they're in right now. I can't really see, but good gap there for Jamal to explode through.
Absolutely, as this is a big third down for the Grizzlies, as they had a 3rd and 13 and picked it up big time. Lawrence Holt. Now it's 3rd and 7, and you're driving. So I look at it as 4-down territory. You have 2 plays to get 7 yards. You trail early on the road. Jamal right behind Kendall. Bends at the waist, claps his palms together, wearing 2 black wristbands. Pressured from the right, flips it across his body. Caught, first down, Grizzlies. That's Kagan Bates on the snag, and that'll move Labette inside the 15-yard line, down to the Crusader 12.
And that's something Kagan has proven to be exceptional at, getting open across the middle. Kind of like a Julian Edelman type. He's always going to find a way to get open on the 3rd down. A little bit of Griffey, even that we saw last year, but great job by Kendall to really step up in the pocket and create a lane for him to make the throw. That's something we haven't seen these past couple weeks. He's really struggled with the footwork and pocket awareness.
Labette can still pick up a first down as they spot it at the 13, first down and 10 yards to go. Labette will kind of run a hurry up and then take their time to make their mind up on the actual play call. Still no Nolan Nash, but 3 different receivers for Labette County here early. Here's a little flick out to Kagan, and he drops it and claps his hands in a bit of a frustrated manner as he knows he maybe could have had that one, but he might have been brought down shortly after the catch.
Yeah, as we're in a good situation here, but there's been a couple hiccups along the way, the false start, a couple drop passes. So hopefully as this game goes along, we start to mitigate those mistakes and play some clean football.
8 minutes, 10 seconds, first quarter. Clock is stopped after the incomplete pass. 2nd down and 10, Grizzlies driving. The snap, a run. Jamal met at the line, nowhere. Maybe lost half a step, not quite. 3rd down and 10 for Labette coming, working left to right on the Wellington 13.
Yeah, as those gaps are closing quick, as something we've seen this past all year so far, really. We can't quite get a push on the offensive line, so wonder if we'll start throwing in some motion that we've seen these past couple weeks or throw something different to juice up this run game.
Labette's picked up a 3rd down and 13, a 3rd down and 7, and now they have a 3rd down and 10, their third down attempt of the young drive in the first quarter. Same set for Labette County. Wellington showing blitz. It's a pass. Kendall jump pass, and it is tipped by Lawrence and caught. Touchdown Grizzlies. That's Barrett Heston on the touchdown reception. I'm not sure who it was intended for, but Lawrence reached up, tipped it, and Barrett was there to play the janitor and clean it up. Touchdown Labette County.
As Kendall was lucky with that one, he kind of jumped up, a little sidearm action, tried to fit it into Lawrence. Lawrence got a hand on it, and thank goodness Barrett was there to make the play.
The Beefmaster gets it done. I was going to say, first touchdown of the season for Big Bad Beef, as Labette County is going to try to tie it with a PAT. The snap, the hold, the kick is, it looked maybe wide right. It was wide right, just a touch. So I believe that was Manny Ramirez.
Nolan Nash.
Was that Nolan?
He kicked it.
That is 5, as that is Nolan. So it's good to see Nolan back on the field. Labette County does score, but misses on the PAT. They trail 7-6 on the road. Wellington with drive number 2 coming up in 30 seconds. This is Grizzly football.
With many years of combined experience, Eye Care Associates of Parsons has set the framework in providing comprehensive eye health examinations for all ages and routine vision care for families throughout the 4-state area. Our optometrists and staff provide remarkable care with state-of-the-art technology to help with diagnosis and management of eye health conditions. Give us a call or visit our website to schedule your next eye exam. Eye Care Associates of Parsons. Experience modern eye care.
Seven to 6 your score. The home team Wellington leading our Grizzlies here with 7:24 to go in the opening quarter. Jack Leake, John Kohler with you. Thank you, Griffin. Appreciate that. As another short kick for Labette County as it'll be Wellington's ball near the 40 again, their own 40, working right to left. You made a good point to me during that break. Tell the audience what it is.
Yeah, neither team has really shown the ability to kick the ball too far on kickoffs. When you're getting the ball at the 40, 45-yard line, it's going to be a high-scoring affair, folks.
Certainly impacts it just a little bit, especially as both offenses are what we were told. They're quite similar in play style. Both teams favoring the pass. Labette County doing it a little bit more on the ground. Granted, they had to run more plays to get down the field than Wellington. Here's a similar pass from Bannister out to the near side to his intended target. That's a first down for Carter Burnett, as the 6'5 receiver certainly has a touch of an advantage over our Grizzly defenders.
Yeah, and they've thrown a couple of these just simple screen passes and letting their bigger receivers go to work, as we've had trouble, tackling them so far tonight.
Yeah, we have. They're just running those quick little passes out to the sides, kind of like San Francisco did in last night's game against the Giants. Just pass it to your target and let them a 6-yard gain for the powerful back Nick Giefer.
A little bit better than the 8.5 we saw last week, but that was just a gigantic push for that Crusader offensive line. So you wonder if you're just going to see our defensive line start to fall, create holes for our backers to come in and fill.
Bit of a play action, kind of an ugly set in the backfield, as Wellington's going to try to get out of their own mess, and they can't do it. Barely get back to the original line of scrimmage. The refs give them about a half a yard. Third down and a long 3 for Wellington. Big time play approaching here in Sellers Park.
Yeah, this could be a big stop for the Grizzlies here if they manage to get one. But if you're the Crusaders, if you don't get this, you have a decision to make. We're going to punt it and pin us deep, or you're going to go for it.
3rd and 3, 6:11 first quarter. Wellington leads by a point. Here's the snap, an instant rollout to the left. He squares, plants, fires deep left, defended by Nolan, and that's an incomplete pass. It hit Nolan Harity right between the 2 and 5 on the back of his jersey. He never turned around, so it very well could have been interference, but the refs are letting him play these corners on the receivers, John.
Yeah, and as a defensive back, you appreciate that as it lets you get more physical with the receivers. But, man, if you're a Grizzlies fan watching that live stream, you're just holding your breath as you just waited for that penalty flag to fly out, which, who knows? I didn't get a good angle of it, but No one could have just, been right in front of him, not hands-on or nothing. It could have just been great defense.
As he has a tough assignment, and he has played really well this year, Nolan has at corner. An awkward set in the backfield, Ford on fourth, and get it, as it's a run up the right side and continuous deep into Livette County territory near the Grizzly 25-yard line. They had two backs to the left and behind Bannister. John, explain that formation to us.
Yep, it's what you call the pistol. It's what you see a lot of college, Georgia Southern. They run a lot of triple option out of it. So you got the one read and you got the toss on the outside, and that's what Pittsburgh ran triple option last week, but not like that.
Pistol again favoring the right side of Bannister this time. Here's the snap and a give, a bit of a left counter.
There we go.
Lowering his shoulder, a gain of about 5. John, that was one of your keys to the contest, if you will, is on the carry that time, Colton Clift. But you said if we could just start to hold opponents to 4 or 5 yards a carry compared to 8 or 9, that's huge.
Yeah, it really forces the play calling of the Crusaders to be more patient. Force them to be patient. If they can't be patient, they're going to mess up, right? Give them those 4 or 5 yard gains. Let's see if they can't hold, their patience and make the play.
Bannister goes under center, pressured, fires it, and it is caught. That was an impressive throw and catch for Wellington down inside the Grizzly 10 near the 5-yard line.
Yeah, kind of a Phillip Rivers, he's famous for the little sidearm slot there, as the arm angles from both these quarterbacks tonight have been there. They've just been, just throwing lasers out here tonight.
Really are, getting out of the pocket a little bit. Both Kendall Holtzman, our quarterback, as well as Dusty Bannister for Wellington look quite comfortable here this evening, as that pass was caught yet again by Carter Burnett. Boy, is he tough to defend right now for the Grizzlies. Here's a run up the middle, bouncing and banging, pinballing into the end zone. Touchdown, Wellington. Stretching it back out to a 13-6 lead, as Livette showed much more resistance on that drive than they did the first drive, but still not enough to keep Wellington, and I believe that was Giefer.
Yep, third downs are going to be extremely important in this ball game, Jack. Whether or not one of these defenses get off the field on third down, it's going to be important. As we saw earlier, we had him in a third down, had a chance to make a play, just couldn't do it. Would say a touchdown later on.
That was Giefer, as the PAT is blocked by Livette County. Lawrence Holt was in there on the main tip, as it was a bit of a bowling ball snap by the center as it rolled end over end into the holder's hands, and he just couldn't get it up in time, and there was Lawrence Holt awaiting it. Big time play by Lawrence, as that keeps it a 7-point game with 4:40 to go in quarter number 1. Kendall Holtzman will make his way onto the field in 30 seconds. This is Grizzly football.
V93.5 is your home for the best variety of the 80s, 90s, and today. Get your day started with the Anna and Raven Morning Show. You're the judge during couples court. Couples share their disagreement, and then you decide who's right. Think you know pop culture trivia? It could pay off, and you score the cash jackpot when you play Can't Beat Raven. Krause in the house get you home every weekday afternoon starting at 2. Stream us anytime, anywhere at klkcradio.com.
Welcome back to Sellers Park in Wellington, Kansas. As we're risen just above the field to the west side, Jack Leake speaking, John Kohler color commentating for Livette County Grizzly football week number 4. Livette County 1-2 playing Wellington 1-2 as well. Someone will leave 2-2. We'll see who it is right now. Bit of a toss-up. Wellington up 13-6 on the Grizzlies. As there have been 3 possessions, 2 with Wellington, 1 with the Grizzlies, and all teams have scored a touchdown on each drive. As Wellington's kick, did it go out of bounds, John?
Yes, and they're doing the pooch kicks that we've seen over the past couple years. They'll pooch it right over the front line guys and hope it just lands there for one of their guys to come scoop it up. As that's something they've actually been pretty good at the past couple years. They've really perfected it, and they're quite successful with it.
As I'm getting to see it for the first time, I was looking at my roster on the live stream ran by Caleb McKee, doing a fantastic job here this evening. We'd like to thank all 70 of you for joining us on KLKC Sports on YouTube. Live stream appears to be running crisp tonight. knock on wood. Labette County will set up shop 1st and 10 at their own 45. They scored on their last possession, and this is exactly where they started it. Good field position.
Yeah, and this is something you got to take advantage of down by 7 here in the first quarter.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll get much better than this. We haven't really seen much to tell us otherwise, so his offense just really allows you to open up the playbook, though.
Labette County taking their time looking at the coaching staff. Here's the snap. It's a counter to the left side. Jamal runs into his own offensive lineman, Michael Reed, and pile drives forward somehow for a positive gain of about a yard.
On the carry, good for 1 yard.
Yeah, the defensive end, if I can get a number on him, I believe it's 52. No, not 52. I'm way wrong, but I think it's Axel Norris. He did a great job of stunting the offensive tackle over there, not allowing Jamal to see the hole or get to it.
Lane Simmons, the center, down there with Chris Stevens, Michael Reed, Lucas Hayward, and J.B. John Broadwell. Ball pasted right in the middle of the field. Labette moving left to right in their road white jerseys. Simmons, here's the snap and another run up the middle. Nowhere to go for Jamal Jackson. In fact, back to the original line of scrimmage. 3rd down and 10 for the Grizzlies. 3 on all 3rd down attempts last drive. Can they do it again?
No, hopefully they find a way. I think they got to go taking bait somewhere. You know, I think you found him as your 3rd down guy. Or no, there's no one on Barrett right now either, as I look down here on this near side. As you wonder if Argabright's saying something. As he's 12 yards off Barrett down there on the near side, you wonder if they're going to take advantage of that.
As here go the Grizzlies, big 3rd down and 10. Bit of a screen, and Jamal is going to be met in the backfield. Loss of about 3 or 4 on the play, and Labette County's going to have to punt it away back to Wellington, fresh off of a successful drive. Labette County's defense gets a short water break, and on comes the Labette County punting unit.
Yeah, so what the Crusaders are doing on defense, they're running a 4-2-5, but on the outside with their corners and safeties, they're bringing that corner shaded to the outside guy. So what we saw there is that corner reading the play, making a nice play on Jamal as he just kind of shot up real quick. Jamal never had a chance to look up the field.
Barrett Heston appears to be the punter on for Labette County as he takes the snap and punts it away. Wobbler lands about the 41, takes a negative hop, and then settles about the 41 of Wellington. So good field position for both of these teams. They're kind of being spoiled tonight, as we'll see if Wellington can go down and score again. They've been successful on their first 2 drives of tonight's contest.
Yeah, and the Grizzlies really need to get a stop here. You can't go into the out. You can't really run the ball so far tonight, so it's going to make it difficult passing the ball when you're down 2 scores.
As here's the Crusaders taking the snap and a short gain of about 3. Perhaps the shortest run for Wellington here this evening. Host of Grizzlies in on the tackle.
There's some extracurricular activities by number 78, Greer Buchanan, the junior offensive lineman for the Crusaders, as he seemed to bulldoze Cole Stevens after the whistle.
Bannister in the shotgun again, takes the snap, flips it out to the left flats, plenty of grass, and then some for the Crusader intended target.
There's a flag on the play, though, as Carter Burnett grabbed the jersey of Nolan, kind of holding him back from making a play there. And that's what the near side official saw, and that's going to be the call, Jack.
Thank you, John. Skylar Branham.
Ooh.
Skylar Branham, the receiver, is, yes, Wellington, as I've been here a few times, they do have a sound system for the White Hat. So we are going to be able to hear his voice. We don't obviously have his mic hooked up to our mixer, but I can try to turn it up our audience mic where we can hear him each call. But there haven't been a lot of penalties in tonight's contest, John.
No, I think that's just the second one. We had the false start earlier, and now this, the holding. 10 yards from the spot of the foul, so it should be a first down for the Crusaders regardless, as they had a nice gain out here on the near side, the west side of the field for the folks listening.
Yeah, that will move them up to the 50-yard line right at the middle. Ball's on the left hash, first down and 10. Crusaders moving right to left. Here's the snap. Giefer goes out to the right flat. A deep pass for Bannister, well over the head of his intended target, incomplete. Is that the first incomplete pass he's thrown?
Yeah, and if he had just looked shorter, he would have had his motion man, number 8. Once again, Carter Burnett, as he came across the field in motion, and was wide open on the far side. As I believe that would have been Barrett's guy. I don't know if they had a man call or whatever. He should have followed him, though, as he's talking to Coach Price after the play.
This is Wellington's first home game of the year. They went to Andale, Clearwater, and Collegiate, beat Clearwater and lost to the other two. 90 seconds first quarter. Here's a run up the middle to Giefer. Big gap, tries to hit the edge, and then he's met in the shallow secondary near the first down marker, and it'll be third down and a yard for Wellington.
Yeah, once again, we had a chance to make a play there. Barrett right there in the hole, got off his block, had a chance to make the play, couldn't quite get him wrapped up. That's one of the things that they're going quickly under center to sneak it, as he does, and gets a pretty good push out of it. As in years past, they've just come out and just run quarterback sneak after quarterback sneak. So they've had these big maulers up front. I think this is one of the smaller offensive lines we've seen from the Crusaders, as they've been blessed with some size in the trenches.
As Coach Price said that in our pregame interview, or Chet Coupland's pregame interview with Coach Price, they're going to be physical in the trenches and big up front. But yeah, definitely a little bit more undersized than what we're used to seeing from Wellington. But then again, we have seen a lot of big offensive lines even this season, so even big offensive linemen can look smaller to us. Here's a run up the middle. Giefer using his blocks, following them well, stays on his feet after being tripped up by Kagan Bates, and then jumps forward near the 20. Nolan Harity in there on the tackle. First and 10 Wellington, moving yet again.
Yeah, what we said couldn't happen is happening right now. We are just getting gashed on the ground as they just keep running this counter play, pulling the guard and the tackle, I believe, or the wing, I should say. They have a wing in some of these sets, and they're just creating holes for Giefer to just run through.
Giefer offset behind Bannister. He'll get the carry yet again up the middle, hit by multiple Grizzlies in there on the efforts for Labette County on the initial contact.
I think it was Roper.
Yep, that is Roper. Roper Whitley, big-time standout defensive player for Labette County. Second down and 7 for Wellington with 22 seconds to go in the quarter. They do not have to run another play, but it looks like they just might. Coach Meeks electing to hurry up the offense, and they do. Bannister looking for blood, deep left in the end zone. Caught, touchdown Crusaders. As you guessed it, that's Carter Burnett standing at 6'5". A tough matchup for Labette County's secondary, and that stretches it to Wellington 19, Labette County 6 with the extra point coming up.
Yeah, and you wonder if they're going to switch Nolan and Lawrence. As Nolan's kind of had a rough night. He's played great all year, but he's just been kind of off tonight. So I think that's what they were talking with Coach Hurley down there on the side about who's going to guard number 8.
Snap, the hold, the kick. That's a pretty one that time, and it splits the white uprights, and that makes it Wellington 20, Labette County 6. We'll go ahead and keep it here. Just 8 seconds left in the quarter, and we would like to thank a few of our sponsors for making tonight's broadcast possible. Labette Community College, Forbes Hoffman Funeral Homes, Clemens Insurance Agency, Labette Health, Woodworth Enterprises, SEK Orthopedics, Doctors Mosher, Meister, and Morris, Carson Wall Funeral Homes, Commercial Bank, Eye Care Associates of Parsons, Labette Bank, the Bartlett Co-op, Labette Center for Mental Health Services, Community National Bank, Tank Connection, Wood Insurance Center, USD 506, The Corner Store, and Olson Ace Hardware. And invite you to stay tuned, of course, for halftime, as this has been a significantly long first quarter. At least it feels like more than we're used to, with 26 points already being putting up combined by these two teams. But at halftime, we will have our Eye Care Associates of Parsons halftime show. Referees egging on Labette County to break their huddle and get onto the field for the kickoff. Wellington will kick it off with the wind, which has actually died down quite a bit, as the American flag on the north end of Sellers Park is hanging somewhat limp now. It sure was flapping earlier.
Yeah, and you wonder what kind of field position we're going to be working with here, as it's been pretty good so far tonight, Jack. I think the best of the year so far.
Kick is off, and another short one fielded by Labette County's Lawrence Holt, as he caught it about the 36 and didn't know what to do with it, and just kind of stood there and waited on blockers.
Okay.
I think he lost it maybe, but it was well after he was down. So
yeah, he just kind of caught it and just didn't do anything. I don't know if he thought he called a fair catch or nothing. Didn't see any motion of the arm prior. Just kind of stood there expecting the whistles to blow.
As there are still 2 seconds on the scoreboard remaining, so the long first quarter will get stretched out just a touch more. We'll see what Labette County tries to do. First down and 10 on their own 36. Jack Leake, John Kohler with you. Labette County Grizzly football week number 4 live in Wellington, Kansas. 106.7 KLKC Parsons or KLKC Sports on YouTube.
Yeah, as the middle of the field appears to be wide open, so if one of these Grizzlies receivers can kind of slink across the middle, it would be wide open, as there's no safety help over the top of Lawrence Holt nor Kagan Bates.
In motion goes Kagan. It's a pass. Well protected. Kendall's going to let it fly. Lawrence Holt. Oh, and they say he dropped it on the way down. Incomplete pass, as Lawrence is okay, as he had a big catch earlier. He's still kind of rolling on the ground. Now he comes to his feet, as Coach Mike Hayward out there to assist the receiver, who has been great here this evening. Boy, it looked like he caught it. But that will bring us to the end of the first quarter. Labette will flip the field and move right to left. Second down and 10 at their own 36 when we come back in 1 minute. This is Grizzly football.
Day & Zimmerman, one of the largest privately owned companies in the U.S. with
Another poor kick that misses right and maybe a little short had it gotten straight anyways. 26-12, the score remains, but Labette makes it a 2-possession game, and they needed to do that badly. As my apologies on that, Amanda. I was trying to text our cameraman, and I hit mute on my iPhone. So she's thinking, boy, where did they go? They get a restroom break or what? But we are back, and we're ready to go. John, Labette County trails by 14. Needed that so bad, as if you punt there, it's looking ugly. They needed to score there.
Yeah, thank goodness we have a Jamal Jackson in the backfield, as he is the most explosive athlete that we have.
Let alone open grass in front of him. It's hard to get him from behind. You have to hit Jamal from the side or front. His boy, he is hard to get from behind. He's oh so fast on the grass. As these referees are becoming a little bit impatient with Labette County coming out of the huddle and coming onto the field for kickoffs, as they've had to toot their whistle a few times at him, as Wellington's been set and Labette's still in a huddle.
Yeah, it is what it is. You know, you'll let them get upset, but sense of urgency here. You are down 2 scores, so you'd like to get the ball back as soon as you can.
Another short kick, fielded about the 40, and I think he took a knee, maybe unintentionally actually, but regardless, it will be first down and 10 for Wellington at their own 40. So, boy, that drive changes things a little bit, John. One, you score, make it a 2-possession game again in a game that looked like it was going to get real bad. But 2, you score in like 12 seconds. So now, you know, you feel hopefully some momentum grow and your defense can get a stop.
Yes, Wellington, all 4 times they've had the ball so far, they have scored. So it's not, I don't want to make that sound horrible, but you got to get a stop here for the Grizzlies.
Here is the snap into the hands of Bannister, and it's caught and dropped as he didn't have it near long enough, at least in my opinion, as the referees agree and blow it dead, as that's got to be one of the first drops for Carter Burnett, as he has been a nuisance for the Grizzly D.
Yeah, my fault on that one, Jack. I was just talking about turnovers, and I saw a drop ball. I was like, oh, fumble. But like you said, didn't have enough time. Tried to plant, go back outside, just didn't have it, as they're coming back out with the screen to number 22.
As they go out to the flat yet again, and it's caught by Wellington. Axel Norris said his name a few times. So now things are a little bit interesting. Third down and a long 6 for the Crusaders. Grizzly D knows they have to have it. Nolan Harity in there on the efforts.
Yeah, and this is the best chance we've had so far tonight to get a stop here on third down, as they're going to come back out here in this with the tight end now. They're bringing the tight end in now, so they'll have a 11 personnel
Yeah.
out there.
Giefer to the right of Manister.
They're
Here's the
going
deep
deep.
pass down the right side, and it's out of bounds. It was caught, but well out of bounds. Target was Branham, and he hauled it in, but it was well out of bounds. 4th down, and they say 5, so 4th down and a long 5, as now Labette County licking their chops, wanting to get the pigskin back and try to make it a one-score game. We'll see if Wellington tries to go for it or just a little pooch kick.
Yeah, I'm curious why they would have motioned the guy over to side with already 2 receivers here on this near side, as there's not a lot of room to work with, especially on a wheel pattern like that.
They might be trying to get Labette to jump off sides because it would be a 1st down if they do, and I think that might have been what Coach Meeks was trying to do, as they are going to signal for a timeout Wellington. So, boy, Labette County can really take advantage here and creep back in this game sneakily in Wellington. We'll be back in 30 seconds. This is Grizzly Football.
Hi, I'm Shelby, one of the pharmacists at Bowen Pharmacy. Not only do we keep you up to date on your COVID and flu vaccines, but we also offer pneumonia, shingles, hepatitis, meningitis, tetanus, and whooping cough vaccines. Based on the latest CDC guidelines, we can recommend the vaccines to keep you and your family healthy. Thank you for always choosing Bowen Pharmacy. We're here today and we'll be here tomorrow.
We're back here in Sellers Park. Jack Leake, John Kohler with you on tonight's broadcast. 4th and 5, and indeed Wellington is going to come on and punt it away. A little bit of a low snap for the punter, and he gets it away. That is a boomer of a kick. It lands about the 9, takes a gorgeous bounce, and dies right there at the 10. As I don't know what Nolan Harity was doing, but he was flirting with touching that ball there. If you're not going to return it, just go get a Gatorade on the sideline, because there's no sense in flirting with the ball hitting your calf or foot or anything. But that was an incredible punt by Wellington's Wyatt Bringer. I do believe it was the junior.
Yeah, no, it's a tough situation here. They've been sending a lot of pressure and stuff. If you take a sack here, if you're Kendall, or if you can't run the ball and you just get stuffed back 3 times, you're in a tough situation. You're missing a really true leg out there to punt the ball to give yourself some decent field position to work with defensively. But if you don't move the chains here, you could be looking at another Wellington Crusader score.
As Labette County is going to have to go 90 yards right to left down the field. 2 receivers to the right, 1 tight left on the short side as the ball is on the left hash. That's Lawrence Holt. Holtzman with Jackson behind him, 8 seconds on the snap clock. Claps, gets it. High snap again. Handoff Jackson up the middle. He's hit on the right shoulder and then is buried to the ground after a gain of about 4, as Labette will take that all day.
Can't quite see what the blocking scheme is, but I want to say we've been running kind of sort of an inside, zone split kind of. We bring that wing back in, go take out a backer, and there's just been a massive hole there, the past couple times we ran that. It's a similar play to what we were in last time when Jamal took off for 65 yards, so you wonder if we're going to start seeing that more often now that we've had some success with it.
2nd down and 5. They gave him 5 on the carry. Looked like 6 on the initial mark by the far official. 4-3 front for Wellington as a near offsides.
Yep, that's going to be the
as
ball.
It was maybe a poor snap. I couldn't see, but the ball was live, and it was a fumble, but then the play was blown dead shortly after. I do believe Wellington jumped off sides, I think.
Yeah, it was number 8, I believe, Carter Burnett.
They say a snap infraction on Labette County, so that kind of negates Jamal's run. 2nd down and 10 now coming.
It's always a first time for everything, as we've seen a couple firsts so far this year, with penalties, but
yes,
definitely looked like he jumped off sides. Could have been.
2nd and 10. Holtzman rolls out right, throws across his body and too high for Barrett Heston.
As there is a flag. As a ref on the far side was just struggling to get out of his pocket, but 3rd down emphatically after he got it out.
As he's signaling pass interference, can't imagine it being on Barrett, as it is on Wellington.
As you can hear the displeasure from the Crusader fans, as the gentleman a couple rows down
Might
the
have
bleachers.
to turn the audience mic down for a little bit, huh, John?
Yeah, it's starting to get some unsettling, tension with the crowd here, but nothing too crazy yet, Jack. There was that crazy game we had at home with the Crusaders a couple years ago, but
there have been some wild ones with Wellington. That does move the ball out to the 25, so Labette does have some breathing room now to operate with the ball in hand. Ball on the left hash, Labette working the field right to left in their road whites, Wellington in their home dark gray uniforms. 8:56 first half, Wellington 26, Labette 12.
give your best play, give yourself a chance.
Here's a bit of a draw play. Nice draw up by Labette County's coaching staff, and that's a gain of about a dozen on the ground for Jamal Jackson. Move the chains again for Labette. Jamal Jackson has been a significant threat for defenses this season.
Yeah, I think that's your best play. Giving Jamal Jackson the ball as much as you can as possible, as he has been a truly, exceptional star for this Grizzly offense.
Jackson behind him. That's been the set about every play. Here's the snap, another give to Jamal, and runs right into the gut of Wellington, as that's where sometimes you'd like to see him pull that and throw a quick little slant, as some of those linebackers might start to creep up just a little bit as Jamal Jackson has exposed their defensive front.
Yeah, Jamal's been so good tonight, but I think right there is a little bit, maybe the blocking was there, maybe or not. Maybe that he just saw where knows to go, but if he had just cut back to the middle a little bit, would have picked up 1 or 2 more yards there.
As trips to the right side for Labette, we haven't seen them overload a side a lot, and they do on this set. 2nd down and 10, 7:50 to go in the half. Wellington up 14. Here is the snap, about belt high. Holtzman squares up, throws it deep down the right side, trying to adjust as Barrett Heston falls incomplete. 3rd down and 10 coming up for the Grizzlies.
Yeah, so you take your shot on 2nd down. I don't think you can here. I mean, you always can take a shot if it's one-on-one, but I'd rather see something across the middle here. Maybe some sort of mesh pattern or just something across the middle. I want Kagan Bates to get the ball here. That's what I want to see here, Jack, as he's been a great option for Kendall on 3rd down so far this year.
3rd down and 10. Labette's been fairly efficient on 3rd downs, particularly on that opening drive. Labette's been freezing a lot on the line, kind of like Gophers, and kind of raising up and turning their heads towards their coaching staff on the far sideline 2 or 3 times before about every play here this evening. Holtzman bends at the knees, takes the snap. Play clock was nearing 0. Here's a flip to the right side, caught in the flats by Lawrence. Has to beat one man, runs into him, and just churns as much as he can near the 1st down line. 4th down and about 2, a short 2, maybe a yard and a half for the Grizzlies. Go for it.
Yep, you have to. I think you absolutely can. I think right now you can't have too much faith in your defense. I know they just got a stop or whatever, but 4 for 6, 5 for 6 or whatever touchdowns. As
QB sneak,
stopped.
as it looks
no,
like Kendall's going to have to change course, and he gets the 1st down as Kendall was met firmly in the trenches. Kind of spins a little bit like he was rolling out of bed this morning, and then continues to move his legs forward well across the 50 to the Wellington 48, and even gives a little gesture. 1st down for Labette County.
So I'm sorry, Jack. I didn't mean to interject there, but
I was slow with that play. It did look like he was stuffed.
Great job by Kendall to get the 1st down, as that would have been huge if we had not got that 4th down.
1st and 10 across the 50. Longer drive for Labette. Here is the snap, level with his face mask. Gives it to Jamal. Gets by a couple initial Crusader defenders, and then is brought down at the line of scrimmage. As after every play, I love how Jamal just pops up and gets ready to go for the next play.
Yeah, great job by Jamal to make the cut and even get back to the line of scrimmage, as I believe the hole he was trying to go to with Jarman, the lead blocker, the wing that we have in there sometimes, wasn't there, and he made a nice job of getting back to the line of scrimmage. Original line of scrimmage, I should say.
3 receivers to the left, closest to Kendall and closest to us. It goes Lawrence Holt, Kagan Bates, Xavier Phillips. Xavier in a bit of press coverage. We'll see if he gets a haul here. 6 minutes in running. Here comes the snap. There it is. It's a run up the middle. Jamal is met at the line, flipped end over end. He was hit around the shin. 3rd and 10 now for Labette coming up.
Yeah, as those linebackers are just kind of zeroing in on those holes where they know we're going to run the ball to. So maybe got to change, where some of these plays are designed to go to. I know it's hard in the run game, but they're kind of zeroing in now, these linebackers of the Crusaders.
3rd and 10. Labette's been so much better on 3rd down than the others, it feels like anyways, as they've passed on most of their 3rd down and long situations, as you would expect. Another south breeze picking up just a little bit. It's at the back of Holtzman. Here's the snap, pressure from the left, dumps it down, caught by Jackson, has to get by one. He does. 1st down, Grizzlies. Lowers his shoulder and pile drives. You can hear it from here. Runs into some Crusader defenders in the secondary, and a few Grizzlies get up bouncing with joy as Jamal is already ready to go for the next play, high-fiving Kagan Bates. Move the chains for Labette. That is big time.
Yeah, I know Kendall's seen some pressure so far tonight, but I feel like the O-line's actually held up pretty good, against the blitzing Crusaders, as I think that's the only time we've been able to create pressure on Kendall is sending some extra guys, as guys up front have done a really nice job so far tonight. Which is a nice change of things, after we've seen the performances the last couple weeks, and they know that's not where it needs to be or what they're capable of, so it's good to see them to finally put something together.
26-12 Wellington, 4:30 first half. Labette driving. Here's the snap. It's kind of a busted play. Holtzman's got to throw it, and he doesn't, as it was a run. Kendall thought it was a run, and it might have been, but Jamal never went to grab it from him, and then it was just ugly after that, and Kendall elected to kind of take the sack. 2nd down and long, about 16-17 for Labette coming up.
As you wonder if you may have seen a different signal or something from the sideline, as there are a couple signals, they give them that look kind of similar. You get these bright lights, start seeing some things. So it's unfortunate for the Grizzlies there.
Ball on the right hash, under the 4-minute mark, we've hit it. Jackson behind Kendall. Here's the snap, level with the chin, dumps it off Jackson, hit firmly, loss of another couple. 3rd down and 20 coming up for Labette County, as that sack just sucked the air out of this drive.
Yeah, I know we've had some success with dumping the ball to Jamal. It just has not been there tonight. I know we just got a 3rd down conversion off of it, but those corners are just sitting there on it. I should say, as the safety takes a deeper guy, and it just hasn't been there. Got to wonder if Kendall's going to start to look at some different guys, some of these inside guys.
Big 3rd down. They've been efficient, but this sure is a test. 3rd and 19. Here's a snap that goes in between the hands of Kendall, and it's picked up by Wellington. It'll be 1st and 10 Crusaders in Grizzly territory, as there's multiple bodies on it, but it's already being signaled Wellington ball, and that hurts, as now Wellington is threatening to score, as you would have liked to have kept this a 2-possession game at worst going into the locker room, and now Wellington is looking to make it a 3-possession game going into the locker room at the halftime break.
Jack, it is what it is. It's almost like as if you didn't convert on 4th down on that last drive. You're just where you would have been in that situation. Except, more of a depleted morale, as you feel like you had something going there, and just a couple mistakes really killed the drive. Had a couple drive-killing mistakes, and you just can't do that if you want to be in a ball game with the Wellington Crusaders.
Absolutely. Is there a team that if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile, and they've done that on about all Grizzly possessions that haven't ended in a score. Here's a snap, another flip out to the near flats, caught, gain of about 5 before being hit out of bounds by Kagan Bates, and Nolan Harity on the catch for Wellington is number 88, Kimonte Bassfield, the 6'1 junior.
Yeah, and we've seen them run that same screen pattern, down there with the different receivers multiple times tonight. Starting to become a focal point in their offensive attack.
Here's a give to Giefer around the left bin, hit around the ankle, gets by the initial grasp of a Grizzly defender, Bradley Black, and then a gain of about 1 is the result. So a nice job by the help side behind Bradley Black's attempt.
Bradley was a lone scorer in last week's ball game against the Dragons, as he had that amazing, would it be a scoop and score? I don't want to say it's more like a grab and go what he had last week, so nice play, but Unfortunately, was not able to make one there.
As here's a pass, Bannister's going to tuck it and run and lower his shoulder and get into the secondary near the Grizzly 25 at about the 27. 1st and 10 Wellington score before halftime, 2:20 until that mark.
As number 10, Matthew Jarman, I'm sorry, Jack, I don't want to call you out, but he had a nice chance to make a play there, and he just kind of just put his shoulder into him a little bit, kind of just nudged him and didn't really even try to wrap up. So some mental mistakes here from the Grizzly defense.
Here's a pass, and it's going to be incomplete. Nice coverage by Lawrence Holt as both him and his receiver he was upon, Carter Burnett, were just kind of belly to belly, kind of sort of belly to back, and kind of bear hugging each other. No whistles, incomplete pass.
Yeah, Lawrence did a great job of putting himself in a position to not allow the receiver to make a play, even close to make a play on the ball. So nice defense there from Lawrence Holt.
2nd and 10, 2:09. You'd love to see a stop here. Here's a fake to Giefer. No one open for Bannister, pressured from the left, then floats it, and out of bounds. The ball's going to tumble.
I hate that. You know, Tate Claiborne, number 22, was in there to make the play, and he bid on a pump fake to nobody. You know, it's just one of those things. You got to know who's on that side of the field, what receivers are there. Oh, it's so effective as a quarterback, though. You get one of those guys, you're scrambling, you have nowhere to go. A little pump fake gets them up in there. You're able to get something out of it.
Wellington hasn't ran the ball as much as I had anticipated. 3rd down and 10. We'll see what they do here. It's a fake to Giefer, another rollout to the right, then a pass back to Giefer, opposite side of the field. A near hold on Wellington. Labette wants it, might not get it, and then a trickle near the 1st down line, gain of about 8 for Giefer. Nice little misdirection.
Sorry, Jack, but that really should have been a hold there or something, as he definitely was not a clean block, but it impeded, Jarman's, path to the ball carrier there. It really sprung up the Giefer screen there. Is that something Pittsburgh has run in the past, too, that little motion, or the fake it one side, go over, and then throw it across the field to another screen on the other side, I should say.
Timeout Wellington with 96 seconds to go in the first half. They lead our Grizzlies 26-12. We'll return in 30 seconds. This is Grizzly football.
Hi, I'm Shelby, one of the pharmacists at Bowen Pharmacy. Not only do we keep you up to date on your COVID and flu vaccines, but we also offer pneumonia, shingles, hepatitis, meningitis, tetanus, and whooping cough vaccines. Based on the latest CDC guidelines, we can recommend the vaccines to keep you and your family healthy. Thank you for always choosing Bowen Pharmacy. We're here today and we'll be here tomorrow.
Fourth down and 3. This could be a big moment in the ball game. Wellington gets it and scores. It's a big halftime deficit. They don't get it. Labette only down 2 scores. Here's the snap. Bannister, 4th and 3, pressured on the front, floats it back to the end zone. Holton coverage incomplete. Gets in front of the intended receiver and bats it down. Lawrence Holt high fives Kagan Bates, and Labette County's offense is going to come on the field for one last time in the first half. Big stop after the Labette turnover.
Yeah, here's the thing that cannot happen if you're the Grizzlies. You cannot give the Crusaders back the ball on your side of the field. You have to get something going here. Whether or not you score, it doesn't. You'd love to score, obviously, but you just cannot allow the Crusaders to get that third score. You can't let them go up even larger than what they are.
As I know it's not my spot to, and people don't particularly like it when broadcasters try to predict what happens, but if you go for blood, if you're Labette, and go pass, pass, pass here, and they just don't happen to work out, Wellington's going to have over a minute and 1 timeout and probably the ball on this side of the 50. So it's kind of one of those chicken and egg moments for Labette County staff. We'll see what they elect to do. Here's the snap. They're going to pass it, and a flag before the snap. Illegal procedure on Labette County. Back them up about 5. 1st and 15 coming up with 88 seconds to go in the half.
Yeah, just can't have those. Those are drive killers. Really hurts your chances of getting into the half with, a better odds of winning in the second half. So tough to see,
Certainly.
but if you're the Grizzlies, I think we're going to come out pass, see if we can get something. Then we're going to run it, whatever happens after that,
Here's the snap. Holtzman retreats, rolls out right, throws across his body deep for Lawrence Holt, comes back to get it, and that's going to fall incomplete as the ball was underthrown just enough to where Lawrence had to stop, making his defender kind of run into him. And sometimes that doesn't always feel fair just because the ball was underthrown, and the refs upheld to that statement and didn't call it.
At least they've been consistent, so
Yes.
It's not one you can really gripe about. There's a couple Wellington could have had called, on us. A couple we could have had called on them.
It's been a good crew.
Yeah,
I like it.
They've been consistent. That's what you want out of a officiating crew.
2nd and 15, minute 20. Here's a slant pass right into the waiting arms of a Wellington defender, and it has ran into the end zone for a pick six. Axel Norris on the interception. It's not a nail. It's not a nail in the coffin, but that is a dagger in the heart. As Kendall is too good of a quarterback to make a pass if he saw Axel. There's no way he saw him. He just didn't see Norris sitting there.
I don't know.
Him.
I think he was just looking at something else and just threw the ball, or you just assumed before the play started, okay, this inside slant is going to take him with me or with him, and just threw it. Assuming that was going to happen as the inside. Norris was supposed to go with the inside slant.
That two-possession margin at half, and forgive us for playing these mental, psychological, scoring, scoreboard games, but it feels like you have to be within two possessions at half.
Definitely, yes. I believe we'll get the ball coming out of the – we will get the ball coming out of half. So we score here, bringing it down to 2 scores. We score again coming out of half. We're only down 1 score. That's the best case scenario if you're a Grizzlies.
It's as easy as that. You don't even have to listen or watch the next drive. We already told you what's going to happen. I'm just kidding. 32-12 the score. Wellington on top with 1:14 left in the half. Back deep to return for Labette County is Barrett Heston, but that deep return man hasn't been utilized really for either team here this evening, as the kicks have been kind of short pooch kicks under that category rather.
As it's going to be the same thing here.
Yep. Short little kick near the 40, caught, and going down wisely for Labette County is Bradley Black. Again, John mentioned. Shout out to Bradley. Labette scored 6 points against Pittsburgh on one of the final, it was the final defensive play of the game for Labette, one of them at least. And Bradley got in the backfield, made a play, found the ball in his grasp, and took off for a defensive score. That was fun to watch last Friday. So Labette has the ball at their own 40, minute 12, working right to left, down 20, 32-12 here in Wellington.
Yeah, and a lot of this has been self-inflicted errors. I know they had a couple scores, but we had a drive going earlier in the ball game that was killed by a fumble snap and a sack. Could have had a score there, and as I believe the Grizzlies are going to take a timeout here, or the Crusaders. I don't know what the White Hat's going to signal here.
It is Labette County taking the timeout. A couple things not quite adjusted to Coach Price's liking. We'll return in 30 seconds. Grizzlies need a score on KLKC.
Was there any phone?
Labette Community College is meeting the need for an increased demand in qualified radiographers. Our radiography students will train on the latest technology in a hospital simulation environment.
I wanted to be able to go into a career where I could help people. And if you're going to go into that field in this part of the four-state area, LCC is the only place to come.
Tuition is nearly half the cost of universities. Scholarship and financial aid available for those who qualify. Text radiography to 620-293-6671 for more information or visit labette.edu.
Kendall Holtzman with a little option between him and Jamal Jackson on the left side of the field. He faked the toss and fell forward using his legs for a gain of 6. 55 seconds to go. Labette continuing to take a little bit more time off the clock. between that last play and this play than I would have expected.
Yep, I think they're just waiting to take their shot here. You want to keep it kind of safe here and not just go 3 straight incompletions, give the ball back. Really like this approach from the Grizzlies.
Holtzman takes the snap, pressured in the face, throws it far side, caught by Barrett Heston, has a little bit of room, spin cycles his way to the 38. Barrett Heston has had a really nice evening, a few receptions, that one for a nice gain, and his other one for a touchdown. As Labette does take a timeout, stopping the clock at 30 seconds. Coach Price, I think, just has one timeout remaining. He took that one right there and then one a couple plays ago. You're in pretty good position. 38, 37-yard line, 30 seconds, one timeout.
Yeah, if you have a gain of anything more than 12, 15-yard gain, you have a decision to make. You're going to burn a timeout or not. Anything within 10 yards, you got to hustle up and spike it. You got to save that timeout. Yeah, if you're the Grizzlies, you're looking for a little chunk play here, set yourself up from the 20-yard line or so. Give yourself a better shot at the end zone.
The receivers on the near side are going to be Xavier Phillips stretched out wide to the left. Again, Labette County moving the ball right to left, ball on the right hash. Bates on the left side, receiver on the far, Lawrence Holt and Barrett Heston. Here's the snap with Holt in motion. They fake to him. Holtzman scrambles, floats it, seam pass down to Barrett Heston. Caught again! Barrett Heston hauls it in! And that's a TD for the LC Grizzlies. Barrett Heston with a big-time night in Wellington. Boy, oh boy, Big Bad Beef putting on a show.
Yes, I think we finally found our true number one wideout. Barrett Heston, as he's put on a show tonight. We haven't really seen, we haven't really had a guy that can just get open, consistent. Barrett's done that so far tonight as he has 2 touchdowns on the evening. Had his first one of the year earlier tonight on a beautiful, or I should say cleaning it up as a tip drill or whatever. And just caught another one. Breadbasket throw by Kendall Holtzman, touchdown Grizzlies.
Labette's going to go for 2. They could cut this to 12 points at the break. This has been a roller coaster of all roller coasters here in Wellington. Here's Holt in motion, the snap. They give it to Lawrence, and he's going to get, I think, nowhere, but he cuts it up on the other side of the field and then goes down. The ball is stripped. It's still on the deck, and the play is finally blown dead, and I can inhale some oxygen. Labette did, regardless of the outcome of that 2-point conversion, somehow, Labette County might just be down 14 points going into the locker room. It wasn't pretty how they got to the goal that we put in place for them, but they got there, John.
Yeah, and Jack, I think we're going to show some guts coming out of the second half. We go get a score, and they want to kick an onside. I hate to say it. Get them on their heels. Get the momentum rolling, Jack. But one thing's for, you got to do something first. You got to get off the field. You got to go into halftime first. Then outside, after halftime, you got to go score. You got to do what you got to do to get there, to be put in that situation, to make that decision. It's best, I for lack of better words.
Talk to me, John. You're excited. I like it.
I know. I'm losing my words. I can't even think right now, Jack, but excited about what this Grizzly offense has done. They did what they needed to do. They got a score. Made this a 2-possession ball game, set themselves up to have a great second half.
Really, the only difference is maybe a bit of momentum because Circle got that pick 6. But you could argue Labette got the momentum. But again, Labette County got the momentum right back after scoring again. Down 14 is what we were asking of them, John, whether it be 32-18 or 20-8 or 20-6. It didn't really matter to us. As here's a little wobble, and Wellington getting out near midfield. I couldn't see where the ball was because there were 2 or 3 different players shoving each other around, so I thought maybe that's where the ball was, but that was some action away from the ball.
Yeah, you got some of these JV kids in the game, on special teams and stuff. They want to have their moment, so it's just one of those things.
Wellington's going to get the ball at their own 46 with 13 seconds to go in the half. Will Coach Meeks and his squad try to strike back? As that sounds silly maybe with 13 seconds to go, but man, this game has had those hidden gems within it. Here's the snap. It is a pass thrown out to the right flats with a little bit of space down to the 41, trying to cut back in and then pushed out is Skylar Branham. Now Wellington's in a position where they can take a shot. 6 seconds, ball is at the 42.
Yeah, so what you're going to do is you're going to take every available defender and go put it on number 8. So I guarantee that's the guy they're going to throw the ball to, as he's been their
Welcome back, Grizzly fans, to our Eye Care Associates of Parsons halftime show. As I have to tell you, it has been one wild ride here in Wellington, as they put a little bit longer time on the scoreboard here in Wellington than usual, so we have a little bit longer Eye Care halftime show. It's 32-18 Wellington at the break. And it was early on, you thought maybe it was going to be a shootout, kind of a 7-point game, teeter-tottering back and forth, and then Wellington stretched it out. This game was 32-12 moments ago, and then Labette County on the shoulders of Barrett Heston, and of course some good passes from Kendall Holtzman, of course, are only down 14 at halftime. As this is Jack Leak, John Kohler, I believe, went to the restroom. He'll be back shortly, but John and I kind of gave Labette County the goal to only be down 2 possessions at the halftime break. And that might sound silly, but there were a couple moments where that didn't really feel feasible. In fact, it felt vital for Labette County. As if this was a 3-possession game, we're talking 17 points or more at the halftime break. You're looking at a tough comeback to have to mount if you're the Grizzlies. Well, Kendall, Holtzman, and Labette County had the ball, had to go 90 yards down the field in order to make that happen. About 90 seconds to go. Labette County throws a pick 6 and goes down 32-12. So now you're praying that it's perhaps a 3-possession game at the halftime break. Labette gets the ball back, goes down the field, used their time management very well. Props to the coaching staff on that possession, as they didn't give Wellington just enough time to get down the field where they wanted to be, and Barrett Heston caught a big-time pass down the seam to make it 32-18. It wasn't pretty how they got to that 14-point deficit at halftime, but they somehow got there. Labette County in the first half, a few stats for you to chew on. Labette County threw Kendall Holtzman for 127 passing yards. Jamal Jackson ran for 68. Welcome back, Grizzly fans, to the Eye Care Associates of Parsons halftime show. Nearing the 3.5-minute mark before the players should return to the field. Jack Leak, John Kohler with you. John, I want to take a look at some of the defensive numbers here. As a couple I found quite intriguing, as Barrett Heston was kind of our MVP of the first half, if you will, with a couple of those touchdown snags. But on the defensive side of the ball, he has 4 total tackles, a solo and 3 assists. And then another player, Nolan Harity, has 5. As someone who started out on Carter Burnett, the tall receiver for Wellington, who was kind of putting it on us early. But kind of after he switched away, he started to rack up tackles. As that's what I love about this Grizzly team is that they'll settle and accept their role that they were given and then try to capitalize on it.
Yep.
And I think that's a result that we've seen in these tackle categories.
Yeah, no one understands, if he's not at the top of his game, covering the best guy, he's got to find different ways to contribute to the defense as he is such a vital part of it. So there's also been numerous opportunities out there for other guys to step up and make plays. Hasn't been there all the way. 30 points and a half is not something you want to see, at 11-man football. You may see that in 8-man, 6-man, those high-scoring affairs down there, but not 11-man football 4A in the state of Kansas. You can't allow 30 points and a half and expect to come out of here with a win. But in this case, we've also put up 18 points. So you give yourself a chance.
Right. As if you're going to give up a lot of points, so be it. You better score a lot in return. And Labette's kind of sort of done that. We'll find out if they can fully accept that role and continue to pile up the points in the second half in due time. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't want to fog up all of our talk here with so much positivity that it sounds like Labette's kind of been screwed over or whatever. That's not near the case. You give up 32 points. You're right, John. One of them being a pick 6, but you still give up those points. As I thought the defense actually tightened up just a little bit, as it took Wellington longer at least to score.
Yeah.
And they were a force as Wellington had the ball 4th down in the red zone late in that first half, and Labette held them. Labette didn't capitalize, but their defense held them. As with most games, whenever it's 32-18 or some that we've done, you're looking back at a lot of plays and a long road to coming back and a lot of plays that caused the deficit. In this game, I feel like it's just a handful.
Yeah,
as you could count maybe the plays that have given us the score on the scoreboard on one hand. Granted, Wellington is a very tough foe to go against on the road, but I think this is a capable deficit.
Yeah, definitely. We're down. I know we don't want to reference week 1, but a similar situation. Down 13 at half. We're down 14 now. Can we do it, Jack? Can we overcome that one extra point? We rattled off 24 straight unanswered week 1. I believe we have the firepower to do it. But it's about if we're actually going to do it. If we're going to put it together and actually come out of here with a win. That's going to be the challenge tonight.
Absolutely. Not too long of a road ahead for Labette in the second half, but definitely a tough one. That Wellington squad is tough, physical, and talented. Both teams have made their way on to the field to stretch and warm up before the second half begins. We're going to take a 2-minute break, and when we come back, we will have second half action. This is Grizzly football.
At Labette Community College, we're passionate about medicine and compassionate about people. Our highly trained instructors provide innovative career-specific education in the field of diagnostic medical sonography. Do you already have an associate or bachelor's degree in healthcare? Earn an additional certification in sonography. LCC offers a 12-month completely online program with a clinical component. In as little as 1 year, specialize in OB, abdomen, or vascular. For more information, text pound SONO to 620-293-6671 today. Apply online at labette.edu.
I'd like to take a moment and recognize the historic facility in which Labette County is battling in here this evening. Sellers Park, they call it. Very historic place with a very enriched pride, tradition, and history involved within it. Community Park, renamed Sellers Park in 1938, was one of the first parks, or the first park, to have lights for a high school football game. It was made in honor of Mrs. Lulu Sellers, Washington's first park superintendent, established in 1913 after Harges Creek, a nearby creek, was rerouted in 1917. A new football stadium was constructed, and in the spring of 1929, permanent lighting was installed. And on the night of September 20th, 1929, over 4,000 spectators witnessed Wellington battle against Blackwell, Oklahoma, in the first high school football game played under permanently installed lights in the United States. Pretty neat information there, and a very historic facility that I begin to appreciate just that much more.
Yeah, I think that's something Pastor Weidert would like to hear. You know, he's big on those history tidbits, you know, fun stuff like that.
Drew Weidert, youth pastor at Center Bethel Church, is whom he is referring to, is certainly someone who loves those nuggets, and particularly to include them in a broadcast. So shout out to Drew there with that one. But yeah, quite an enriched history here underneath this soil and in these lights here at Sellers Park. As it will be Labette County, as we were mistaken. I couldn't remember either.
I don't know what happened. I definitely thought they received the ball first because they went up 7-0 on us. I don't know if we turned the ball. No, we punted. I don't know. Jack, I can't
we should have had
remember.
this conversation before we went live, but oh well.
Onside kick
our
right
friends
here,
are
Jack.
laughing at us back at home. It's all right. As the 15-yard penalties enforced, so Labette's kicking off of Wellington's 45. As here's a little squib kick fielded at the 20, and his knee was down when he grabbed it. So that is going to be where Wellington sets up shop, as it was Jack's Bible on the pickup. So it'll be 1st and 10 Wellington at their own 15 roughly. Hard for me to see through this faded window here.
This will be the worst starting field position so far of the night for the Crusaders, and worst starting field position for either one coming off a kickoff tonight. So we're winning the kicking battle right now, Jack, and that's a good sign.
Absolutely.
As field position in a close game, if we are able to make it a close game, is such a crucial thing.
Just 2 seconds came off the clock to begin the third quarter. Labette opening up on defense. Trips right in a bunch formation. Coming out in a jet sweep motion is Thomas. Here is a little handoff coming around the right bend. I believe that is Thomas. It is, and he's whipped to the ground firmly by Roper Whitley near the first down line. I'm not sure if they're going to give it to him. He might be a yard shy. 2nd down and a yard coming up for Wellington.
Yeah, on that one, they actually had a quad set out there. So I mean by that, they had a trips bunch right in there next to the line of scrimmage, or with the lineman or whatever right next to him, and they had an outside receiver on the outside, motion a guy, motion him back, little jet sweep. So actually not that bad of defense by the Grizzlies in that unique set, as they're motioning 2 guys over to the other side.
Here is the snap, a pitch play to the left. Giefer tries to make room and does, bursting into the secondary near midfield, across midfield, turning on the Jets is Giefer out to the Grizzly 38-yard line where it will be fielded. We talked about how they hadn't had those plays, particularly in the second quarter, where they were gashed. There was one there.
Yeah, and the Grizzly defense, as they come out and start motioning these different guys over, creating these really, really strong sides, they're going to have to do a great job of bumping over and, you know, rematching up with their keys.
1st down and 10 Wellington at the Labette 39. The snap, the give. Giefer around the right side. Into the secondary again. Bates is the last hope. A flag flies as Giefer waltzes into the end zone, but a flag does fly. And we highly anticipate it being upon Wellington is on the ground for Labette County's Nolan Harity.
As if I'm getting the number right, number 86 of the Crusaders, Alex Keys, the 5'6", 130-pound freshman, is out there blocking, and never really truly blocked and kind of had a
Yeah.
hold of Nolan around the shoulder pad area, so that's going to be a pretty easy call for the officials there.
Great camera work there by Caleb upstairs as we are in the press box, and he's above us in the crow's nest, zooming in on the ball carrier as he goes down the field. Caleb, great job up there, as that will move the ball back, but from the spot of the foul. So that will still advance it, as I've always found that interesting and kind of frustrating when it goes against you, of course, as always. But 1st and 10 Wellington now on the Labette 29. 4-3 front shown by Labette's line and linebackers.
Bump over.
As some motion indeed from Wellington. The pitch to Giefer, hit in the backfield and dropped. Gain of nothing on the play. Tatum Claiborne, as John says, with some enthusiasm in there on the tackle. He's somebody who's been kind of quiet in terms of like us saying his name, but on the field he's making a lot of noise.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I just love the way he plays. He's kind of an undersized linebacker. Reminds you a lot of Rogan Bruce when he was here with the
round. That's Roper Whitley. It looked like Giefer was going to burst into the second level and take it home, and Roper Whitley came in like a white cloak and covered him up.
So it looked like there could have been another holding call made there, as they're going to just hurry up and sneak this one in.
As it is a sneak indeed. 3rd down and a long 2 is, I'm not sure if they got it. The ref moved forward as he was approaching the spot, and I think they might have given him the benefit of the doubt. We'll see where they spot it. There's a little bit of...
Yep. White hat signals it. Dang it. Hard from our angle to see it. You're kind of hoping as a Grizzly fan. It's going to be a couple inches short. Maybe a credit card away.
Might have been. 1st and 10 moves the chains as, man, you'd love to hold Wellington on their first drive. Now your back's against the wall. 1st and 10 on the 20. A red zone trip on drive number 1 for Wellington out of the break. Here's the snap. Flip right side flats. Bobbled, caught, and his knee was down after he gained control. I sure hope they don't call that on Roper. And they don't. Or was that Tatum?
It was Roper, I believe.
As he tackled the recipient of the pass, Bible.
You were right. It was Tatum. But, yeah, as you were saying.
Anyways, if you're watching our live stream, you may understand, but Bible bobbled it, caught it. The whistle really hadn't been blown, and Tatum began to throw him down, and so I'm glad they swallowed the whistle. 2nd and 14, significant loss there. Giefer is the back. They fake to him. It's a pass. Stepping up in the pocket. Pressured from behind in the front. And brought down. The ball came out. Bodies. The second the ball was loose, Roper Whitley's left arm pointed in Labette's direction. It's just kind of second nature to do that.
Who got their arm in there? I couldn't quite get a number there as we're looking at the...
I want to say Cole Stevens, John.
Number 21, Cole Stevens, made a nice play there, kind of wrapping around and getting a hand on the football. If you're quarterback and you're running around, not really having two hands on it, or say a nice little grip on it, it could be hard to hang on to the ball.
So 3rd down and 17 now. Here's a fake again. Pressured is the quarterback, brought down. Hit around the ankles by Bradley Black and then assisted to the ground by his fellow teammate, Matthew Jarman. A Batman and Robin effort on the tackle upon the legs and the upper body of Bannister. 4th down and a mile for Wellington.
As folks, I don't know if you can hear, there's some uproar over here from the Crusader side of the field as they feel there's some extracurriculars going on there. Not too sure, but either way, nice play there by the Grizzly defense to come up with a big stop here, hopefully.
That was a really nice blitz around that left edge by Bradley. Fantastic play. 4th down and 23. I think they might just go for it because they're already in decent position, and they're going to hurl it to the end zone. He's wide open, caught, touch. 4th and 23, and it did right there. Skylar Branham on the 33-yard touchdown reception as Wellington had the door held open. They're saying, here you go, here's the ball back, and then they close it right on your foot.
Yeah, as that one, the communication is there. There's a scissors concept. Inside guy runs that corner route. Outside guy runs that post route. When they called the switch, the safety in that corner, they're expecting that post guy to go a little bit, more flat with it. He didn't. He stayed deep. and is wide open as a result.
Extra point is good by Milo Elder. That makes it 39-18, and that took some time off the clock as well. 8 minutes to go, third quarter. We'll be back in 30 seconds. This is Grizzly football.
Day & Zimmerman, one of the largest privately owned companies in the U.S. with operations across the country and internationally. We are comprised of multiple brands that put people to work, protect our freedoms, and improve the world. The Parsons, Kansas location has manufactured munitions for over 50 years for our country's warfighters. Day & Zimmerman has immediate openings for production operators starting at $18.02 an hour on our weekend crew. Work a 12-hour day shift Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and receive 40 hours of pay. We also offer competitive benefits. Apply today.
Eagles. 39-18 the score after a 33-yard pitch and catch on 4th and 23 from Dusty Bannister to Skylar Branham. Here's the kick from the middle of the field at the 40. Little pooch as usual for tonight's contest. Fielded near the 38, brought near the 45.
Nolan Nash, first time we're calling out his name tonight.
As there is some laundry on the field, and another flag flies as things had slowly begun to escalate, and these players had began to flirt with those extracurricular penalties, and one finally flew.
As I want to say this one's going to be on the Grizzlies, number 22, Tayton Claiborne. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. Just the way it looks, Tayton. Don't mean anything by it, but.
Personal fouls on both teams here. Couple scores from around the area, just real quickly. Halftime, I'm sure that these scores have changed, but these are just the updated that I have. Halftime, Parsons leads Baxter Springs 31-0. Pittsburgh leads Fort Scott 20-6. Kind of interesting one there between Pittsburgh and Fort Scott. Those are just a couple from around the area. Figured you all may be interested in hearing about. 39-18, Wellington leads Grizzlies, 7:54 to go in the third quarter. I feel like that first half took particularly long, John, as maybe it's just me, but a lot of scoring.
Yep.
A lot of scoring. A lot of passing.
Yep. That's what's going to tend to happen with those kind of things, but so far third quarter's moved along pretty well.
Long drive by Wellington indeed. Here's the snap, helmet high. He catches it, flips it to Jamal, lowering his head, getting to midfield. Gain of a healthy 6, maybe a short 7. Jamal Jackson continues to work oh so hard and keeps finding some pay dirt.
Yep, as he's done a great job of making something out of nothing. I mean, I'm not going to say there's nothing there, but that's just what we've seen so far tonight. A couple big holes from this O-line. Actually, I'm going to take that back. The O-line's done a great job tonight creating holes for Jamal, and he's taken advantage of them.
It is 2nd and 4, 7:20, third quarter. Labette looks at their sideline, gets the play call in. Some high snap again, gives it to Jamal, and he's brought down for a gain of nothing right at the line of scrimmage. Up the middle, offset just to the left a touch. 3rd down and 4 coming up for Labette County now.
Yeah, and that's what we've seen from this running game, a lot of no gain or a loss of 1 or 2. Or Jamal's squirting through for 6 or 7 yards at a time.
Right.
So it's give and take with it so far. You'd like something to be more even keel, a little bit more balance with that, consistent, I should say.
Holtzman freeze counts, nobody jumps. Xavier Phillips been a little bit quiet this evening in some cushion coverage at the bottom of your screen on YouTube. Holtzman bends at the waist, takes the snap, flips it. Caught by Xavier, right on cue, makes a man miss, leans forward, first down Grizzlies. Nice play by number 3, the senior, Xavier Phillips.
Yeah, Xavier's kind of elusive after the catch.
Yeah.
I know we saw something last week similar to that where, or I should say against Parsons, he caught one down there and made a couple guys miss. He made a guy miss and got the first down, so nice job by Xavier Phillips.
6:05 to go and ticking, third quarter. South Breeze kind of trying to stay alive. Labette County moving the ball with it at their back, right to left on the field as we set to the west. Here's the snap. Wellington sends the house. Jamal gets behind him into the secondary. Tried to be brought down from behind, and they say no, and he's going to walk into the end zone. Touchdown, Labette County. Jamal Jackson is a blur, as, boy, he broke a few tackles, as I thought maybe they were going to call a horse collar, as they said no on the penalty, as I was referring
another one
to.
Going in.
Couple penalties fly in the end zone.
I don't know what's going on there. Maybe some talking, but not on Jamal. Jamal did a great job there as a draw play. Found a hole, made a couple guys miss. Not really make a miss. He just ran through them. I mean, he ran through the arm tackles they were doing, and he found his crease and went all the way. So a couple explosive plays tonight from Jamal.
Yeah, he broke like 3 tackles on that play. One was a decent little lower leg hit, and the other 2 were kind of heel grabs. Kind of was able to high step his way into the end zone for the second time this evening, as he is just crushing his rushing yard total from last season, or will continue to throughout the season, of course. 39-24 the score. 5:44 to go in the third quarter. Labette lining up to go for 2. Sorry, John.
No,
this is big. Holtzman takes the snap, fade pattern. Xavier in the corner, incomplete, as you can't really begin to look for defensive PI. I don't think that was. But Xavier kind of wanted it, and they're not going to call it, and I respect that about this crew. 39-24 the score. Labette down 15 in the third quarter. They were down 15 in the third quarter against Circle 3 weeks ago, and we all know how that turned out. But they're on the road against Wellington. We'll see what they can do in 30 seconds on KLKC Parsons.
Labette Community College is meeting the need for an increased demand in qualified radiographers. Our radiography students will train on the latest technology in a hospital simulation environment.
I wanted to be able to go into a career where I could help people. And if you're going to go into that field in this part of the 4-state area, LCC is the only place to come.
Tuition is nearly half the cost of universities. Scholarship for those who qualify. Text radiography to 620-293-6671 for more information, or visit labette.edu.
Labette County trying to keep their head above water in Wellington. 39-24, they just won't go away, as Labette's like just a couple possessions from not scoring away from being down 3 possessions, John, but they keep saying no. That's what good teams do. Here's a line drive kick fielded by Wellington. A flag flies as the return man crosses midfield. It looked like a face mask, as I don't disagree with some of these Wellington fans, but they don't call it. Instead, I think they're going to get a hold or a block in the back on Wellington.
Yeah, as they should, as I don't want to make it sound one-sided, but Wellington's really struggled, blocking out there on the edges with the holding penalties and the blocks in the back, as they've had some explosive plays tonight that have been called back because of that.
Right.
I think the Grizzlies are truly fortunate because of those, because they keep it clean out there. I mean, this may be a whole different ball game we're looking at, Jack.
Absolutely, as Labette County is going to be spoiled with some good field position, as it would have been Wellington ball on the Grizzly 45, but because of the hold, it's 1st and 10 Wellington on their own 33. We'll see if Labette can make this interesting here. They're about a stop away and a score, they are, from 4 games.
They come out with the quad set here on the near side.
Empty set for Bannister. He's going to let one fly and test Holt, and it is going to be caught. He's going to shed Holt, and that's a touchdown for Wellington, as now they're just kind of taking shots, saying, can you defend us? Can you defend us? Certainly paid off there, as it was caught, I believe, again. That's Skylar Branham, if I'm not mistaken, on the far side of the field.
I thought it was number 8, I believe, as there is a unsplit flag. I don't know who's it on, but yeah, I don't think you can leave number 8, Colton Brennan or whatever.
Yeah, it was 8. You're right, John.
Colton Burnett one-on-one on the outside. I think you're going to have to pull a backer out of the box to throw down there with that quad set we saw on the near side. and throw a safety over the top to help Lawrence hold out.
Another dead ball, unsportsmanlike penalty on Wellington. Man,
Successive celebration.
Something's going on down there that they don't like. Even if it's not excessive, even if it's not validating of that penalty, these refs think it is.
Yeah.
So you have to stop.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some chirping going on back and forth between both teams, and the refs are just kind of getting a little bit tired of it. So,
man, that was good coverage by Lawrence Holt. As I see the replay here on our live stream, that was pretty good coverage by number 1 in Carter Burnett.
As I've really been impressed with the ball placement by Dusty Bannister so far tonight. I mean, he put that ball only where Colton could go up and make that play, which he's done so far tonight. I mean, he's done a great job out there on the outside for the Crusaders.
A little bit of stoppage of play as Coach Meeks perhaps wants an explanation. We'd like to thank a few sponsors for making tonight's broadcast possible. Labette Community College, Forbes Hoffman Funeral Homes, Clemens Insurance Agency, Labette Health, Woodworth Enterprises, Carson Wall Funeral Homes, Commercial Bank, Labette Bank, Eye Care Associates of Parsons, SEK Orthopedics, Doctors Mosier, Meister, and Morris, Bartlett Co-op, Labette Center for Mental Health Services, and Community National Bank. Milo Elder on to kick for Wellington, the point after. 45-24 the score, 5:20 to go in the third quarter. Milo looking to add one, high kick,
to the left,
and it is good, they say. Hugged that left upright and got it to go for Elder. 46-24 the score. I would say this is about it for Labette. You got to score and then get a stop, or it is looking tough here in Wellington. 46-24. We'll be back in 30 seconds on KLKC.
V93.5 is your home for the best variety of the 80s, 90s, and today. Get your day started with the Anna and Raven Morning Show. You're the judge during couples court. Couples share their disagreement, and then you decide who's right. Think you know pop culture trivia? It could pay off, and you score the cash jackpot when you play Can't Beat Raven. Krause in the House gets you home every weekday afternoon starting at 2. Stream us anytime, anywhere at klkcradio.com.
Jack Leake, John Kohler with you here in Wellington. As at the end of the third quarter, Parsons leads Baxter Springs 59-0. That is 59-0. End of the third for Parsons. As Wellington set to kick off after the unsportsmanlike.
Tired of seeing number 24 touch the ball, as he has hurt them twice for long runs.
Jamal, 2 touchdowns. As he said, he models his game after Christian McCaffrey, and McCaffrey played last night. They look about similar in terms of what's been happening on the field with the defenders.
As he has truly just been a special talent for Obet to have. Sees a luxury this team wants to have with it for the next couple years.
Just a sophomore. Here's the snap. A fake pitch to Jamal. Kendall tucks it and is brought down behind the line for a loss of 3, maybe 4. Second down and long approaching with 2:20 to go in the third. Labette taking a little bit of their time here on this drive, nearing the end of quarter number 3.
Yeah, I don't mind that one, Jack. They've had some success with that option toss play out there. You know, last time they ran it, Kendall kept it and gained 7, so I don't mind it at all here in this situation.
Past the 2-minute mark in the third quarter, Labette again taking their time. Play clock running down to the 15-second mark now. 4 receivers, 2 split out left, 2 right. On the short side are Xavier Phillips and Barrett Heston in the slot. Here's the snap. Give to Jamal, and nowhere to go that time. Gain of nothing. Third down and 13 now.
You don't have to take a shot here, Jack. You don't have to. You already know you're in 4-down territory.
Yeah.
You can set yourself up. If you want to run another draw, go for it. I think you can. You know, we've had some success with it. You gain yourself 6, 7 yards, make this 4th down more convertible.
Right. As you can't really rely on a defensive pass interference unless it's blatant. I wouldn't say there's been a lot of miscalls, but there's been some that I've seen called in the past many times, and I appreciate that this crew hasn't. Here's the snap for Kendall. It's a pass, drops back. Nice pickup block by Jamal. Here's a pass to the end zone, intercepted. Lawrence Holt was there wide open.
Floated it.
And then the corner, indeed, John, took the words out of my mouth. The ball floated for a couple seconds too long, and it was intercepted.
Yeah, we've seen the potential of Kendall. He had his guy. He just put too much air on the ball. He threw a 3 ball. That one has to be a 2 ball. Right there, right on the money. Can't keep some air on it like that.
Armstrong on the interception for Wellington. Just a sophomore is Armstrong. 45 seconds now, 3rd quarter, and now that successful rotation of cycles and maybe that comeback is looking pretty grim for Labette County.
Ball on the 2-yard line, Jack.
He did try to come out of the end zone, or is that where he caught it? As here's a little quarterback sneak by Bannister, gains a few. John, did he intercept that in the end zone and try to come out, or did he pick it off on the goal line?
No, I want to say that when he caught the ball, he was down on the 2. He just kind of rolled into the end zone, I
see. As Wellington does not have to run a play here. I'd be shocked if they do. Up by 22 against the Grizzlies with 18 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter. There's about 10 seconds differential between this game clock. As it does look like they are just going to wind it down and take us to the 4th and final stand here in Wellington, Kansas. Labette will trail Wellington 46-24 as the score is looking so similar to last year's game at home against this same squad. We'll be back in 1 minute. 4th and final quarter coming up on KLKC.
My name is Bria and I'm a pharmacist at Bowen Pharmacy. I'm here today to tell you about one of our patient programs, Meds to Beds. Bowen Pharmacy South is located in the medical office building at Labette Health. Our staff works closely with the doctors, nurses, and social care workers to ensure that your transition out of the hospital is an easier and more convenient experience for you and your loved ones. If you are having inpatient or outpatient surgery, we will get your anything else that you may need to get your family home without the hassle of making several stops along the way. Whether you're here for a few hours or a few days, we are here at Bowen Pharmacy and Bowen Pharmacy South to help get you well without any interruption in transition of care. Just ask for Meds to Beds. At Bowen Pharmacy and Bowen Pharmacy South, we are here for you today and we are here for you tomorrow.
Teams flip field. Wellington working right to left, backed up on their own 8. 2nd down and 4. Here's the snap coming around the left side. Is the halfback off the give. Good gain. Enough for a 1st down and another late hit. That's going to be on Labette County that time. Goodness gracious. Are the unsportsmanlike penalties rolling in like nobody's business? That's Giefer on the carry.
As the mental toughness part of this game is going to be called into question as both sides have been not playing very sportsmanlike here as this game has progressed.
Wow. As that's going to be on Wellington. As it sure looked like a Labette corner gave a little shove there towards the end, and that's when I saw the flag fly. I need to keep making assumptions because I'm wrong on all of them. But I just, my eyes weren't in the right location to find that one on Wellington. But, man, they've gotten more of them than Labette.
Yeah, and if you're the Crusaders, you're doing this to yourself. You're keeping Labette in the ball game right now by having these mental mistakes and these mental errors.
As we'll see where that backs them up. They're still going to get the 1st down.
All right.
Boy, it's so interesting to me at the high school level. You know, in college or pro, that's half the distance to the goal, play the down again. I mean, they get a 1st. 1st and 10 on the 11. In fact, they gained a few yards there. As here's a run up the middle, shedding tackles right and left and diving forward. That did not feel like a 10-yard run, but it is. Another flag flies. Roper Whitley puts his hands in the air as the referee stares at him. As I'm not even going to say who I think it's on because I'll be wrong. I'll just let it develop as I should. But
come on, Jack. Just assume real quick and we'll be fine. See, you didn't assume.
It was a personal foul on Labette County. So that will walk Wellington forward again. As you're right, I mean, are you going to win? Most likely not. As you don't want to fold to the mental downfall that you can kind of go into in this phase, particularly on the defensive side of the ball.
I don't think you can wait for the Grizzly defense for a 3rd down to come up with the big play. I think you have to get a turnover on one of these next few plays if you want a shot at staying in this ball game. So this clock is just ticking down.
11:37. Bannister in the shotgun, steps back into a well-protected pocket, lets a rainbow fly. That is gorgeous, and it is caught and then stripped away. Nolan Arity made a great play in the secondary, and he got it out of the grasp. And I tell you, it was firmly within the grasp of Skylar Branham, and Nolan fought him to the ground literally and ripped it out last second.
Yeah, what a beautiful ball there thrown by number 12, Dusty.
That was gorgeous.
Bannister, but even better coverage by Nolan, kind of making up for those early onslaught by the Crusaders against Nolan. He's kind of coming back here. As I want to say, I thought he almost pulled away with the interception there as it just kind of squirted out at the end.
So it's easy to sometimes just go belly up and accept the fact that he caught it, but Nolan wasn't accepting it. An empty set for Bannister. Haven't seen a lot of that. Giefer comes in motion, gets it on the jet sweep left to right, tries to get around the right edge, and is tripped up around the ankles. On the initial touch was Kagan Bates, and his teammates came to rally. In there with him also on the tackle was Cole Stevens.
Yeah, I couldn't see who was out there on the edge for the Grizzlies, but he did a nice job of keeping that outside shoulder free and kind of making Giefer hesitate there for a second before deciding to bounce it, allowing the defenders to get their time to prevent a bigger gain on the play.
3rd and 10, Wellington ball on their own 37. 10:48, Labette down 46-24. Bannister holding the ball for a significant time. Heaves it deep, laying out for it, hitting the ground incomplete. Was the intended target indeed back-to-back times. Skylar Branham. Branham has been fantastic alongside Burnett. As they're actually out Grady Norris, their second leading receiver, and you would have never guessed it.
Yeah, as the Crusaders have really liked that kind of pattern they've been running. Not necessarily a chair route, but more of a, I want to say, call it more of an exaggerated fade from that slot position as they break to the outside and right up the sideline. Kind of like a wheelchair mix, I guess, deeper down the field. So they've thrown that one a couple times, but not that time as Lawrence Holt was not going to allow it.
4th and 10, and you force a Wellington punt, as I think this is just the second forced punt. That's a great kick yet again. Takes a big bounce, as this might either go into the end zone or be downed at the 1, and it goes into.
This is where having great, punt returners comes into play. Not necessarily guys that are going to break one back to the house, but guys you can trust to go read a ball and catch it. As you saw right there, that bounce had the potential to down us at the 1-yard line. If he fair catches it over there at the 25, we don't have to worry about being down at the 1-yard line. It's just one of those things. Those guys are so valuable for a football team.
Yeah, they really are.
I'm not saying Lawrence isn't one of those guys, but
sure, yeah, I get it. It's important, yeah.
It's one of those make or break things, if you're in a real close ball game.
As I'm kind of shocked Wellington took the shots that they did, because now, are you going to win? Like I said, probably not. But, I mean, man, the door's not closed. It's cracked. And I'm shocked Wellington was letting it fly.
Yeah, I don't understand why they were even trying to throw it. They've had such success on the ground. I know they've been stifled a couple of times, but they've ran it pretty effectively so far tonight.
10:30 to go in the game. Labette with it on their own 20. Here's the snap to Holtzman, pressured, flips it, and nearly intercepted, hit the high, outstretched left palm of the D-back for Wellington, Axel Norris. He has been active. 2nd and 10 for the Grizzlies now.
Yeah, the pocket's starting to close down on Kendall. You know, these edges, you know, Michael Reed, JB, they're starting to slip up a little bit on the outside. The guards, Christine, gets some arm in as Kendall's not really helping himself. He's starting to leave his feet more and more with these throws. That's a pick.
2nd and 10. 2 receivers right and left. Jackson to the front and left of Kendall. Here's the snap. A jet sweep. Lawrence tries to cut up field. Does Holt. Whip to the ground. Gain of 0. 3rd down and 10 for the Grizzlies.
And you know what I'd like to see out of the Grizzlies, you know, maybe try a little screen with Jamal Jackson. You know, he's broke one off before off the screen, you know, get circle and stuff. When they were down a couple scores, try to sprinkle some new stuff into this offense as they tried to there at the jet sweep to Lawrence Holt. Didn't quite work. Got to find something here on 3rd down. Big play here for the Grizzlies.
9:45 mark. Labette taking their time, using a lot of the time off of the play clock. One shallow safety, heels in the soil as he tried to escape it the best that he could, and another flag flies.
As that one's
This is
be
unbelievable.
A huge one. If it's on the Crusaders here, as instead of a 4th down, it's going to be an automatic 1st down, I believe, Jack.
That is a personal foul on Wellington, 15-yard penalty. It's just interesting because, you know, really every penalty is based on how that referee crew sees it, especially in unsportsmanlike, because there's no really, I'm sure there's a written rule about it, but with a hold, you know, you're told, well, if he grabs this and pulls this way, call it. With unsportsmanlike, it's going to vary greatly on the crew that you have, and these guys are so prone to calling it.
Yeah, you could talk just a little bit, talk a lot, and not get a call. It's just one of those things that this crew has talked about, and I'm sure they've been talking to the players like, hey, keep your mouth shut and let's just play the ball game.
As Labette County's had their fair share of those as well, but man, Wellington's been raking them in like the fall leaves falling down. 3rd down and about 5 for Labette County rather than 3rd down, and I don't even know how to guess. It would have been a long ways.
Would have been 4th down.
Or, yeah, 4th down. 4th down, yes. Here's the snap, little delayed handoff to Jamal, and that's not going to go anywhere, maybe a yard if they're generous to Jamal. And they are. 4th down and 5 for the Grizzlies. Is that the punting unit coming on, getting in some reps, or is that just a different run set?
I believe it is the punting unit, and I don't.
It is Barrett Heston back deep to punt for the Grizzlies.
I don't
kind of waving the white flag a little bit are the Grizzlies.
I don't know if I agree with that. You've been managed to put up 24 points so far. What's saying you're out of this ball game quite yet? I understand the odds are stacked against you, but
as you would have to score 3 different times on top of getting those stops. Long road ahead for sure. Barrett takes the ball and a pre-snap penalty. Flies in. Stoppage of play yet again at the 8:28 mark. It is a, he said false start. I'm beginning to question many things, John.
Where did you get this information from, Jack?
I will not disclose the individual who told me.
There is
nice
try,
try,
folks. There's
nice
a false
try,
start. We
John.
were right the first time.
Nice try.
I know who it is. I'll talk to him when we see him again.
That'll make it 4th and 10 for the Grizzlies. Ball on their own 21. Barrett back deep on his own 5. Takes the snap, gets it away. Nice punt. Lands about the 46. It would have taken a good bounce as well, but it was fielded. Here comes the return man across the 40 near the 36, and that's where he's going to be spotted for Wellington.
Oh, and there is a flag down on the field as some more laundry. I don't know what the call is going to. Okay.
Holding on the return team, that being Wellington. After tonight's contest, Labette County will return home and host Fort Scott for their first SEK League game of the year. So if there is any mental baptism that needs to take place, let it be that. You're going to be 1-3 after tonight, but you can kind of cleanse that away, and now SEK League play begins next week. Try to put these last couple games behind you, but still learn from them, certainly. And then you go to Coffeyville, go to Independence, and host Chanute for senior night. So make of those 4 matchups as you will. They're the same every year, but next Friday should be one in which the Grizzlies are in a tight one. with Fort Scott, who was actually giving Pittsburgh all they could handle this evening. I'll try to get a few scores for you from around the area. As Wellington still has it on the Labette County 46, 1st and 10. Here's the give up the middle. I believe that is Nick Giefer still in there at running back. Gains a few. I'm not really surprised, I guess, but you know, they're highly touted running back still in the game and in garbage minutes.
Yep, as Labette County definitely had a chance to crawl back into this game earlier. Had the Crusaders down to a 4th down and forever and just could not get off the field. As plays like those are going to be the ones that can win you ball games or lose you ball games.
Offensive shift taking place. Extra blockers settle on the left side of the line. Giefer bouncing left well out to the right side. And he'll gain about 4. Another flag on the play as Giefer was running on the right side of the field and up the left center. On the field for Wellington was Nolan Russell, kind of not in an inappropriate, unsportsmanlike manner. Kind of tasseling a little bit with Cole Stevens, and that'll draw a flag. That's holding on Wellington.
78 Greer Buchanan, who's called earlier for another holding call, as the Crusaders have been kind of sloppy in that department, holding and a lot of penalties.
They really have. Scoreboard won't really show it, as Labette County they didn't really capitalize. They lowercased on everything, speaking in analogy. 2nd down and about 17. Now back in their own side of the 50 are the Crusaders. Here's the snap. Pass out to the left side. Incomplete. Through the hands of Skylar Branham.
As I'm not going to say what I saw, but I don't like it from either side. I think both sides just need to take a deep breath and not let this escalate into something it shouldn't.
As I remember back in 2017, 2018, when Easton came here, Easton Dean and Cale Irwin, that was one of the better games I can remember, but there was a lot of chirping going on the field, as well as with some of the people in the stands, with our players, etc., whatever. And Wellington, Labette County, we haven't beat them, but it's kind of become like a level 1 rivalry. Here's Bannister rolling out of the pocket, letting it fly deep down the right side, had a target. Nolan Harrity closed out on him fairly well, but the pass was out of reach anyways. Out of bounds, tumbles the pigskin, incomplete. 4th down and long for Wellington, and they will punt it away. Axel Norris, the intended target.
Jack, 7 minutes. Make some magic happen here, who knows?
That's right. You can never say never, as hopefully Labette County, I'm sure they will.
As I don't remember the game quite. There was a Monday Night Football game they turned off for some show or whatever, and the Jets beat the Raiders, I believe. They scored 3 touchdowns in 2 minutes.
Wow.
Yep.
As you'd have to have some help from the other team, I would assume, but Labette's going to have to score first as Lawrence. Nice job that time. Does take the fair catch, nice and clear. Heels planted at the 24, and he fields it nicely, and that's where Labette will set up shop in 30 seconds on KLKC.
Everybody is different. Some get injured, while others simply wear down. Whether it's on the court, on the field, or at the gym, Labette Health's orthopedic and sports medicine team has the training and skill to repair, restore, and renew. We share the same goal, and together we'll write your comeback story. For more information about Southeast Kansas' leading orthopedic and sports medicine team, go to labettehealth.com.
Second down and 8 for Labette County after a run up the middle by quarterback Kendall Holtzman. Again, your score, Wellington 46, Labette County 24. 6:20 to go in the contest. Labette County moving left to right on the field, 75 yards to go. High snap, Holtzman catches it with one hand, ducks and is sacked. Tried to go under the arm of the defensive end and couldn't quite get there. And by that time, the troops were already there to help out their teammate, and Wellington dumps Kendall for another time this evening.
Yeah, and that right side of the offensive line is starting to be taken advantage of. Big Chris Stevens and JB man on that side as JB got up hobbling a little bit as you wonder maybe he's hurt, re-aggravated something as he's dealt with a couple injuries so far this year.
Yeah.
One of those things, but unfortunate for the Grizzlies.
5:35 in the game. Labette kind of taking their time, maybe running through some different sets here. 8 seconds to go on the play clock. Here's the snap. Handoff faked to Jamal, kept by Kendall, and nowhere rolling Kendall Holtzman as he maybe lost a step or so. 4th down and forever, and here comes the punt unit for Labette County again. Is good to see Nolan Nash trot off the field there. Is again, if you're just joining us, as he was just on the field for that play, that's why I mention it. He was cleared just today by doctors and hasn't practiced all week, so he's definitely been limited in his reps for the offense here this evening.
So I don't know why the whistles are blowing. Maybe the play clock wasn't running, or think they're just going to let the clock run out here.
As Labette County will punt off of the right foot of Barrett Heston. His heels are on the goal line on the left side of the field from where we sit. Back deep to return for Wellington. Here's the kick. It's a high one. Barrett has some power, and it nearly hit a Crusader who wasn't paying attention. Back deep to return was Skylar Branham, and the ball rolls on this side of the 50. A great punt by Barrett Heston, about a 51-yard punt after the roll, and Wellington will try again. Like to thank the second half of our sponsors I didn't get to earlier. Community National Bank, Tank Connection, Wood Insurance Center, Unified School District of USD 506, the Corner Store of Altamont, Olson Ace Hardware, and again invite you to stay tuned for our Bowen Pharmacy post-game show. 4:30 to go in the game. Wellington back with the rock. Moving right to left. Here is the snap up the middle. Out of the game is Giefer, and that's a gain of about 6 or 7. And in at running back,
number 1
for Wellington,
Kenny Redford, the senior running back. So good for him to finally see some snaps out here and get a couple of touches in front of this home crowd.
As if I am not mistaken on this, as I seek out Max Preps here, Kenny Redford was the quarterback Labette County faced at home last year. He threw for 2 touchdowns and 140 yards as he gets another carry. So that's kind of an interesting deal there. As Redford is a senior this year. He was a junior quarterback last year, at least against Labette. And here tonight he's getting some carries on the ground.
Yeah, and you wonder, you know, he played great against us. You wonder if there's some personnel groups that came in, some more talent for this Crusaders offense.
Yeah.
And Redford found himself out of the rotation.
He got the first down on the previous carry, gets it again. Nice gap yet again for Redford as Roper Whitley in there on the tackle alongside his fellow defensive lineman. 54 for Labette County. He's not in the roster.
Yeah, you know, it's just one of those games, you know.
I think that was Michael Reed, 64.
Yep. And it's just one of those games, you know. You found out after last week, you know, maybe we should just, you know, build upon what we've been good at and stuff. So we haven't started league play yet. You're in play for a SEK league title. You're 0-0 in conference. You still have a chance to go win a league title, Jack, and I think you're excited about that if you're a Grizzlies fan.
Sure. I mean, you know, I take of this what you want. They're all great teams. I look at Fort Scott and Independence as maybe should win, as there's a flag here, maybe delay of game perhaps on Wellington, as they took a significant amount of time getting to the line there, as it is a delay of game on Wellington, and now perhaps a timeout from Coach Meeks. So I'll go ahead and chew on my thought a little bit longer, as they never gave him the timeout. So I'm going to wait here for just a moment and see what the situation is.
Yeah,
Wellington's in a huddle, but he was never granted the timeout by the White Hat. Okay, now he was. So timeout, Coach Meeks, and Labette's going to go huddle. I'll go ahead and chew on what I was going to say and let you know about it here in 30 seconds. This is Grizzly football.
V93.5 is your home for the best variety of the 80s, 90s, and today. Get your day started with the Anna and Raven Morning Show. You're the judge during couples court. Couples share their disagreement, and then you decide who's right. Think you know pop culture trivia? It could pay off, and you score the cash jackpot when you play Can't Beat Raven. Kraus in the House gets you home every weekday afternoon starting at 2. Stream us anytime, anywhere at klkcradio.com.
We're ready for play again here in Wellington. In fact, here's the snap and a give up the gut to Redford. Gain of a few as we wind down past the 3-minute mark. Labette trails big to Wellington on the road. As John, what I was going to say, you know, I look at Fort Scott and Independence as games that you arguably should win, especially Fort Scott at home and Independence, a team that appears to maybe struggle to score the ball just a little bit. I didn't see their game tonight. Not going to make too many vast judgments here, as here's another run around the left edge for a different halfback this time for Wellington. Getting in some other players this evening is Coach Meeks. It's Parker Thornton on the carry. And then I look at Coffeyville as maybe a 60-40 type contest, 70-30 in favor of Coffeyville. And Chanute, of course, at least you host them, but that's a game that's going to be tough. So you have a couple you should win, one maybe, and then one that's going to be an uphill battle. So we look for a fun SEK fight this season.
Yeah, you got to take care. You got to take care of your business week after week in SEK
Exactly.
play. You can't look over any opponent. So it's saying you hope you beat Independence, you hope you beat Fort Scott. You have to beat Coffeyville if you do those first two things.
Yes.
You got to hope for some miracle or something. One of these other teams knocks off one of the others. You know, Fort Scott was underdog last year. They knocked off Coffeyville. It gave Labette County a chance at a SEK League title. It's just one of those things. All these teams are going to find a way to make games competitive.
Absolutely, as Coach Meeks elects to burn his second timeout of the half, maybe wanting to get in some reps with a younger group or maybe just a secondary group, as the clock is stopped at 91 seconds left in the game, as the scoring has kind of been put to a halt, as 46-24 has been the score for a while, especially that 24 next to Labette County's visitor up there on the scoreboard. As John, at halftime, we were going through all these scenarios. None of them quite came to fruition. Wellington just kind of, and credit to them, kept our Grizzlies at arm's length for all the second half.
Yeah, and there were definitely moments where the Grizzlies could have fought their way back into this thing, but just unable to. You can't help but think, as a Grizzlies fan, about that fourth down we had in that first drive in the third quarter.
Here goes Wellington. In at quarterback is Trenton Elmore, and he's going to complete a pass for a first down. That gets some of the Crusader fans excited. Well past the first down line. First down Wellington. They might threaten to score here.
And you wonder if the Grizzlies are going to start throwing in some of these younger guys to make this more of a JV affair as the game begins to wind down. And Grizzlies are looking to go home 1-3, which is quite unfortunate after that hot start to the season with the upset over the ranked opponent in Circle.
Wellington, on the other hand, will move to 2-2. Best of luck to the Crusaders. Big thanks to them and their radio crew and administration for their hospitality and kindness towards us, as Wellington is in the V victory formation, and they will kneel it on the right knee of quarterback Trenton Elmore, getting the closing snaps here on his home field for the first time this season. Again, this is a Wellington team that played 3 straight road games, and tonight is their first game at home. Homecoming next week for Labette County at home against those Fort Scott Tigers. They've kind of had our number in our heads a little bit the past few games, it seems like, with them. But they're always such good games against Fort Scott. So we really encourage you to be at Lucas Field next Friday as the clock winds down, hits 0, and Labette falls 46-24 here in Wellington. We do, again, encourage you to be there next Friday at Altamont to support our Grizzlies on homecoming against Fort Scott. We're going to go ahead and take a 3-minute break, and when we come back, we'll have our Bowen Pharmacy post-game show.
My name is Bria, and I'm a pharmacist at Bowen Pharmacy. I'm here today to tell you about one of our patient programs, Meds to Beds. Bowen Pharmacy South is located in the medical office building at Labette Health. Our staff works closely with the doctors, nurses, and social care workers to ensure that your transition out of the hospital is an easier and more convenient experience for you and your loved ones. If you are having inpatient or outpatient surgery, we will get your medications directly from your doctor and deliver them right to your hospital bed. If you are having a baby, we will get your medications or anything else that you may need to get your family home without the hassle of making several stops along the way. Whether you're here for a few hours or a few days, we are here at Bowen Pharmacy and Bowen Pharmacy South to help get you well without any interruption in transition of care. Just ask for Meds to Beds. At Bowen Pharmacy and Bowen Pharmacy South, we are here for you today and we are here for you tomorrow.
With many years of combined experience, Eye Care Associates of Parsons has set the framework in providing comprehensive eye health examinations for all ages and routine vision care for families throughout the 4-state area. Our optometrists and staff provide remarkable care with state-of-the-art technology to help with diagnosis and management of eye health conditions. Give us a call or visit our website to schedule your next eye exam. Eye Care Associates of Parsons. Experience modern eye care.
Day & Zimmerman, one of the largest privately owned companies in the U.S. with operations across the country and internationally. We are comprised of multiple brands that put people to work, protect our freedoms, and improve the world. The Parsons, Kansas location has manufactured munitions for over 50 years for our country's warfighters. Day & Zimmerman has immediate openings for production operators starting at $18.02 an hour on our weekend crew. Work a 12-hour day shift Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and receive 40 hours of pay. We also offer competitive benefits. Apply today.
Welcome in, Grizzly fans, to the Bowen Pharmacy post-game show as we get some stats here from Griffin Eaton, as we do have quite the drive home. We do absolutely want to give Bowen Pharmacy the time in which they have provided us with being our sponsor, but we do have kind of a lengthy drive home, so this might be a little bit more nip and tuck than usual. But John, Labette County falls on the road to Wellington, a team in which they've lost to 6 straight years now, 46-24, and I found an interesting correlation. Last season's loss to Wellington was 52-34, so just a few ticks off was tonight's score from last year's score. So Wellington proving that they're just a little bit mightier, but Labette County had flashes where they could move the ball and get a stop here and there, but just kind of broke down in a few of those different sequences.
Yeah, Jamal Jackson really impressed tonight with a couple of those long runs, as he's truly become the MVP of our offense. I think from here on out, we talked about this being Kendall Holtzman's offense. I think we got to run it through Jamal now, just after his performances and the way our pass protection is held up. Kendall really hasn't had time to throw the ball as much. They did a nice job tonight of blocking up front for Jamal, so I think going forward we really got to rely on that running game.
As Jamal Jackson last season just had 330 yards rushing. Granted, he split a few more carries last year than he has this year, but tonight on 16 attempts ran for 142 yards and scored 2 touchdowns. And so coming into this game, he had ran for 277 yards on the ground. So add 142 to that, and you have, 400-some yards, low 400s of rushing. So through 4 weeks, halfway through the year, he has already broken through his rushing yardage total for last season. Jamal has just been so much fun, and I don't ever want anything to be taken away from him because the game isn't going so pretty, because, man, Jamal is still a big bright spot.
Yep, and that offensive line. They've really done a nice job of run blocking and creating some gaps for him to create through, but, man, I wish we had the numbers on the yards after contact. I mean, Jamal has not been easy to take down, and he's taken advantage of the huge gaping holes this offensive line has created. But in saying that, you create this running game now, the pass protection has to get better, right? You figured out the running game just a little bit. Now you got to fix up the pass protection. That week 1 victory, best we've seen pass protection-wise from this Crusade, or from the Grizzly, unit up front, and that's got to get better if you want any chance to stay in these ball games. You have to give Kendall time to look down the field and have more time to progress than just one read. Most of the time, these balls he's been throwing have been to one guy on one route. None of the other guys have even been looked at because of the lack of time up front. So you got to create some more time for Kendall.
Speaking of Holtzman, threw 20 passes, completed a dozen of them for 2 touchdowns, and I don't think we exactly got a total in the air for Kendall, give or take maybe 200 yards or so if I had to guess. As going into the halftime break, he was around $125, so give or take. Kendall, not a fabulous night, definitely had stretches of efficiency without question, but John, those interceptions are beginning to raise their ugly head. That's 7 interceptions in the last 2 games, and one of them tonight, boy, Kendall just didn't see the guy. As I still remember that, he just didn't see him. So Kendall's a great quarterback, against Circle, threw for 5, ran for 1. Kendall's great, whenever he is given some of that time, and no discredit to the offensive line, as Wellington was sending the house a few different times and sending an extra guy, so that offensive line was doing about all that they could. So team efforts, indeed, they don't always end, obviously, how you'd like, but the team effort aspect is always and will always be there with the Labette County football culture.
Yeah, and I think Kendall's definitely got to help out the offensive line as well. We saw earlier, they tried to do a rollout. He didn't read his block out there in front of him, as I think he was looking down the field. He tried to bounce outside right into the arms of the defender. So, some of these times he's stepping into the sack and not getting away from it, using the pocket that he does have. So it goes in tandem, offensive line, Kendall. If they can both find, that continuum or the equilibrium, they'll be fine.
And I know that they're both certainly glad to have Jamal Jackson there assisting them with his legs, and I can't wait to see how those 3 pieces do, because whenever they do click like we saw in week 1, boy, it's fun to watch. So that ceiling is there. They've scratched it. I think they can still break through it, referring to that Circle game, of course. But, yeah, that offensive line, quarterback, and running back, those weapons when they're clicking is so fun to watch, and you know they'll find that potential again and win a couple more games for sure this season, if not more. Labette County falls on the road at Wellington 46-24. That will do it for our Week 4 broadcast of Labette County Grizzly football. They fall to 1-3 on the season. Again, homecoming against Fort Scott next week at home. Be there, but if you absolutely cannot, we will be live for the Tank Connection pregame show at 6:30 p.m. next Friday night, September 29th. For John Kohler and Caleb McKee, I'm Jack Leake. Thank you, Grizzly fans, for listening to tonight's broadcast of Grizzly football. And if you came and you're driving home and listening, be safe driving home. And as always, God bless.